Oh, na na na, oh, mama, na na na. You got to find a better way. Cause when me looking at Babylon, me see a beer foul play. I saw the Gideon say, yeah. Our nation come together, know that King Selassie has the truth and the light and the way. Teach the people, lead them in the right way. Cause in the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, they'll do anything to fill that gap. Boy, in the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, they'll do anything to fill that gap. Yeah. You got to show the people there's still a bright way. Yeah. I know for sure the sun will come out today. Yeah. Vanities and illusion will have to fade away. Yeah. And all the wicked deeds are done, I know you got to pay. Yeah. Cause in the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, they'll do anything to fill them. Yeah. In the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, they'll do anything to fill that gap. As generation comes and go, you got to make preparation while the youths them a grow. It's what you reap is what you sow. The youths them are the light and the future. Let's send us and you know. If education is the key, don't tell me why the big guys they make it so expensive for we. Give them the key or set them free. Give them the key or set them free.
Oh, 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 la 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 la, living in the truth and right. Oh, 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 la 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 la, truth and right. Render your hearts and not your garments. The truth is there for who abides to see. Partiality has no place in this judgment. Remember the words of prophecy. I say, children run, come to truth and rights. That's what I'm about. You know the truth and rights. You teach it to the children. Let me say you know the truth and rights. You teach it to the children, cause they should know. No, 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 no. Children say a little prayer every night before you go to sleep. Cause tomorrow is promised to no one. When you think it's peace and safety, Lord, it could be sudden destruction. Because we know, yes, we know, Lord.
The health ministry says it will be doing more to reduce what it describes as the stigma associated with mental health. The issue of mental health.
Remember, I say these few words to you. Remember the words I am saying to you right now. And for tomorrow, and henceforth I say, render your hearts and not your garments.
Just go and hold it, my brother, and things like that. And I wasn't initially going to make this video, but then it just plagued me to do it. So I think it's necessary. One of the things that people kept saying is, go and hold it, my brother. Go and hold it. And I thought, what does that statement actually mean? To go and hold it. And obviously, you know, these are well-wishers, and I'm not saying that they're not well-wishers, so please don't get it twisted. But what exactly is it he's supposed to go on hold? The fact that he's dying inside and feel like he needs to take his life, that life is just so difficult for him that the only way out for him is to take his own life, or the thought of taking his own life brings some relief to him. You know, what exactly are we saying? And, you know, that's one of the things that I think that us as a people don't fully understand it. We don't understand what depression is or what it looks like. When I watched that interview, the first thing that came to my mind was he displayed all the signs of someone who is crying out for help. And I really wish that people didn't just take it as a news article and actually saw it for what it is, that someone here is saying to you, things are going really bad in my life. And they're saying, you know, they're attributing it, or him wanting to take his own life because his career is going bad. Believe me, that is just the trigger. The fact that he, you know, was even able to say it, he's probably thought about it so many times. So my question to you who are listening to this, would you know what it looks like if someone in your family has depression or is depressed or is about to take their life? Because especially this time of year, statistics have shown that the biggest killer in men outside of Jamaica is suicide. Yeah, the biggest killer of men is suicide outside of gun crime. So that's something to think about. What is going on within the male population that we don't know about, and especially Jamaican male? I mean, we expect our dancehall artists to be larger than life, but what if they're not coping with life? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think a lot of people get suicide mixed up. They think that when a person wants to take their life is because they're weak. The person contemplating suicide doesn't actually want to die. They want the pain to stop. And that's the difference. They don't want to die, but that's the only way that they can see a way out.
Researchers estimate that almost 40% of Jamaicans suffer from personality disorders, a type of mental illness, and that depression and schizophrenia are the most common mental illnesses in Jamaica. Unfortunately, many Jamaicans think that mental illness could never affect them or someone they love.
A lot of young people in Jamaica suffer from depression and don't even know it.
Yeah, we can't take it seriously.
We're taught that it's not something that happens to black people. That's something that happens to Americans, or the upper class, you know, people who can afford therapy and them stuff there. There's a stigma. Oh, you mean you're crazy? Oh, you mean you're a mad person? Oh, you mean you need some medicine for that?
Sometimes I have to laugh. Like, I think that's probably the saving grace of Jamaican people, because we're still like funny. And a lot of the things, like, we have to laugh. We have to laugh. You know what I mean? Because like we have to laugh because it's depressing. It really is. I'm not even trying to like exaggerate anything. You know, like if you're living here, there are literally things that you have to pretend like they're not affecting you in order for you. If you have something that you need to do, like if you have to be mentally well to do this thing, you have to pretend like all these million other things that are happening don't affect you. Not just your life, but the world, like the country and the world in general. You know, you might end up, you know, operating like something that's a little bit not human.
What qualifies me to speak? Well, actually, this is my bread and butter. This is what I do for work. This is what I do for study. This is what I volunteer in. I work with people who are at that point in their life. Okay, so when I see this happening, obviously if I'm on a platform like YouTube, I have to speak about it. It's my duty. So, I mean, what I want people to do is, you know, don't bypass this. If someone is saying this, they actually do mean it. And what can you do? You know, are there people in your family or around you that, you know, are not themselves? Or are we just passing it off and saying, you know, that's how he's always been? Really? We could probably be doing more. And I think this conversation needs to happen now. It's not just white people, middle class people that has depression, and we need to know what it looks like. Okay, so that's kind of what I want this video to be about. Would you be able to recognize the signs if somebody in your family was, you know, at that point in their life, they're at a crossroads, things are going really badly, and that's all they can see, you know. That's what I want people to start thinking about, recognizing the signs and helping someone. And if you're the person who are feeling that way, you know, do you know where you can go and get help and things like that? That's what I want this video to be about. I will leave some links in the description and also at the end of this video that you might find comforting or might help you to get some help if you're the one struggling with this, because it's not easy and people are not always understanding about what's going on with you. So I will leave that there, okay?
It's okay to struggle with mental health problems.
It's not unique to you alone, you know.
Everybody experiences struggles.
Work stress, marital stress.
I struggled with depression and anxiety. Our mind is the gateway to both our spirit and our body.
And persons should be taking care of their mental state in the same way that you take care of your physical state.
I also sought professional counseling, and one of the things that I learned from my counselors is that it's most important for you to take care of yourself first.
Eating right,
Exercise.
yoga, meditation.
It's the rest every day.
Getting some fresh air.
Even if it's just a simple drive out, a simple walk out.
If you're struggling with depression,
You should reach out and seek a professional to help you go through these problems. You don't have to struggle alone.
It's important to take care of your mental health
Every day.
Every day.
every day.
mental health matters.
Alright, and today we're going to talk about mental illness in Jamaica. There's a mental illness crisis in Jamaica. Yes. Right? So let me read this off first. Alright, so what triggers this? Somebody sent a link and said, please address the mental illness crisis in Jamaica. And I said that we have done this topic before, but I think we need to do it again, since people are asking to do it again. This stems from going through the Star, right? I'm telling you before, so the Star is one of my favorite papers out of Jamaica. This story says the elderly woman that was chopped to death by a madman, right? And as the story reads, it says an elderly woman was chopped to death in Falmouth, Trelawney, Usain Bolt placed that, by a man who is said to be of unsound mind. The incident took place Thursday morning near the post office on Market Street, and police reports are that Jocelyn Gomez, 72 years old, who lived at Wakeland Drive, was chopped several times by Damon Williams, a 21-year-old, who is believed to be of unsound mind. Williams has since been taken into custody. Remember the youth where chop up the little girl after him rape her? Remember the youth where chop up the little girl after him rape her? He was said to be of unsound mind. He was walking around. People were saying that for days he wasn't looking like himself, he never sound like himself. Some doctors, they can't really explain, but them have a better explanation than religion.
Yeah, and actually look.
And actually look and analyze.
And the thing is, they
Personality disorder has really three characteristics. The first one is that people constantly are in conflict. They have a great deal of difficulty in resolving conflict, and almost everything becomes a conflict. The second finding is something to do with psychosexual relationships. And the most common one in this country is called hypersexuality. In other words, where the individual has no governor on the amount of sexual relationships they have with different people. And the third issue is the business of dependency. And there are two types of dependency. There is the psychological dependency which in Jamaica, this best explained by the Jamaican concept called lean pan, where you cannot survive on your own. You have to survive on somebody else. And then you have the physiological dependence, which is your dependence on some kind of physical substance like alcohol, like cocaine, like cannabis. But one of the biggest physiological dependencies in Jamaica is a dependency on food. Now, when you add up these three things together in individuals, you get a personality disordered person. We did studies on the psychiatric unit, on the medical wards, in the population, and we found out that maybe 41% of people in Jamaica have the propensity to have a personality disorder.
The Health Ministry says it will be doing more to reduce what it describes as the stigma associated with mental health. The issue of mental health, particularly depression, has dominated discussions in recent weeks following suicides by CNN's Anthony Bourdain and comedian Kate Spade. TVJ's Giovanni Dennis has this report.
Too high, the number of Jamaicans experiencing depression. A recent mental illness and homelessness report commissioned by the Health Ministry revealed that more than 40% of Jamaicans have at some point suffered depression.
Yes, greetings to ones and ones out there. First, I want to give thanks and praise to the Most High. Give thanks for life. Give thanks to Bless Radio. And give thanks for all those who are listening right about now. So we must give thanks. Give thanks to our beautiful brother Raga D, the ambassador when it comes to the thing about reggae music. See? So this is the Jam Master Show. And we're here to talk about the truth, not about the truth and the absolute truth, and it's focused around well-being and mental health. And as you know, the last few weeks we'll be touching on that particular subject, breaking the stigma of ignorance. And what does ignorance mean? To ignoring the facts. So we're here. Jammers, where you are, Jammers? You should be here with us. Seen, but he's probably busy, got family commitment and so forth, so he's not here at the moment. So where we are, Jammers, pick up your status every single time. And you know that Jammers are, when it comes to words, he is the master when it comes to words. He breaks words down. He eats words for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and what do you call it, after dinner you have like a nightcap. That's what he does. He just breaks words down. So again, also need to big up the management of Bless Radio every single time and other fellow presenters and DJs on Bless Radio. So we give thanks for all those who's come before us. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. So we must give thanks. And again, give it to Raga D for a fantastic show. You know he does it every Thursday. And he's here from, is it 4? From 3 to 6.
2 o'clock to 6.
Oh, 2 o'clock to 6. And he do it all over again tomorrow from, what time from Raga?
2 to 6.
2 to 6. So you know that man I do no short, you know what I mean, and give you everything. You know what, you know, them throw down everything, throw down all kind of music, everything. Music, them throw on them love, them throw down everything in front of you, you know. So, you know, when he plays music, give it the fullness. You know, the fullness of the fullness of the fullness. See? Also, big up to Rockstone. I'm not going to say Rockstone. It's Rockstone, innit?
Yeah, man.
Rockstone. You know? The Rockstone. You know? And Cliff and them man there. And also Ricardo, I know he's part of the team as well. So I want to big up them man there. Long time I don't see Rocky still, but Rocky, I'm going to come and look for you. See? Because when I say time we look for his full joy. And Cliff as well. Them man make you laugh. You know, give you a joke. I like to be a man, them man there. Because them man just make you feel nice, you know?
I know.
Raggedy, will you see them man and big them man up for me, see?
Yeah, I'm there Saturday.
You're there, you're there Saturday, yeah?
Yeah, man.
Alright, from what time you're there Saturday?
Well, the doors open from 9 o'clock and we finish about 7.
Whoa, I'm going to try my best to pass down there for about an hour. If I'm in the area, what am I doing Saturday? I have to see what I'm doing Saturday. Well,
they open 10 to 4 on a Sunday.
And they open on Sunday as well?
Yeah, man.
Okay, the Sunday sounds good. So I have no excuse to pass down there and see them on there. That's fantastic. Okay, then, so I'm going to play some recording. Right. And listen to the recording, take notes. And we're going to have a discussion. The whole thing about the mental health thing, because it's very serious, you know.
News article and actually saw it for what it is, that someone here is saying to you, things are going really bad in my life, and they're saying, you know, they're Hey, what is up everyone, and welcome to another Carib Fusion video. I guess this will be sort of a different video. Recently, Kaleido, he did an interview on Nightly Fix where he was speaking about his struggles with, you know, with everything kind of just going wrong in his life, and he spoke about committing suicide or taking his life. And, you know, for the most part, online people have been very supportive. You know, they've been saying, oh, you know, just go and hold it, my brother, and things like that. And I wasn't initially going to make this video, but then it just plagued me to do it. So I think it's necessary. You know, one of the things that people kept saying is, you know, go and hold it, my brother, you know, go and hold it. And I thought, what does that statement actually mean? You know, to go and hold it. And obviously, you know, these are well-wishers, and I'm not saying that they're not well-wishers, so please don't get it twisted. But what exactly is it he's supposed to go and hold? The fact that he's dying inside and feel like he needs to take his life, that life is just so difficult for him that the only way out for him is to take his own life, or the thought of taking his own life brings some relief to him. You know, what exactly are we saying? And, you know, that's one of the things that I think that us as a people don't fully understand it. We don't understand what depression is or what it looks like. When I watched that interview, the first thing that came to my mind was he displayed all the signs of someone who is crying out for help. And I really wish that people didn't just take it as a news article and actually saw it for what it is, that someone here is saying to you, things are going really bad in my life. And they're saying, you know, they're attributing it, or him wanting to take his own life because his career is going bad. Believe me, that is just the trigger. The fact that he, you know, was even able to say it, he's probably thought about it so many times. So my question to you who are listening to this, would you know what it looks like if someone in your family has depression or is depressed or is about to take their life? Because especially this time of year, statistics have shown that the biggest killer in men outside of Jamaica is suicide. Yeah, the biggest killer of men is suicide outside of gun crime. So that's something to think about. What is going on within the male population that we don't know about, and especially Jamaican male? I mean, we expect our dancehall artists to be larger than life, but what if they're not coping with life? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think a lot of people get suicide mixed up. They think that when a person wants to take their life is because they're weak. The person contemplating suicide doesn't actually want to die. They want the pain to stop. And that's the difference. They don't want to die, but that's the only way that they can see a way out.
Researchers estimate that almost 40% of Jamaicans suffer from personality disorders, a type of mental illness, and that depression and schizophrenia are the most common mental illnesses in Jamaica. Unfortunately, many Jamaicans think that mental illness could never affect them or someone they love.
A lot of young people in Jamaica suffer from depression and don't even know it.
Yeah, we can't take it seriously.
We're taught that it's not something that happens to black people. That's something that happens to Americans, or the upper class, you know, people who can afford therapy and them stuff there. There's a stigma. Oh, you mean you're crazy? Oh, you mean you're a mad person? Oh, you mean you need some medicine for that?
Sometimes I have to laugh. Like, I think that's probably the saving grace of Jamaican people, because we're still like funny. And a lot of the things like we have to laugh it. We have to laugh, you know what I mean? Because like we have to laugh because it's depressing. It really is. I'm not even trying to like exaggerate anything. You know, like if you're living here, there are literally things that you have to pretend like they're not affecting you in order for you. If you have something that you need to do, like if you have to be mentally well to do this thing, you have to pretend like all these million other things that are happening don't affect you. Not just your life, but the world, like the country and the world in general. You know, you might end up, you know, operating like something that's a little bit not human.
What qualifies me to speak? Well, actually, this is my bread and butter. This is what I do for work. This is what I do for study. This is what I volunteer in. I work with people who are at that point in their life. Okay, so when I see this happening, obviously if I'm on a platform like YouTube, I have to speak about it. It's my duty. So, I mean, what I want people to do is, you know, don't bypass this. If someone is saying this, they actually do mean it. And what can you do? You know, are there people in your family or around you that, you know, are not themselves? Or are we just passing it off and saying, you know, that's how he's always been? Really? We could probably be doing more. And I think this conversation needs to happen now. It's not just white people, middle-class people that has depression, and we need to know what it looks like. Okay, so that's kind of what I want this video to be about. Would you be able to recognize the signs if somebody in your family was, you know, are at that point in their life, they're at a crossroads, things are going really badly and that's all they can see, you know? That's what I want people to start thinking about, recognizing the signs and helping someone. And if you're the person who are feeling that way, you know, do you know where you can go and get help and things like that? That's what I want this video to be about. I will leave some links in the description and also at the end of this video that you might find comforting or might help you to get some help if you're the one struggling with this, because it's not easy and people are not always understanding about what's going on with you. So I will leave that there, okay?
It's okay to struggle with mental health problems.
It's not unique to you alone, you know.
Everybody experiences struggles.
Work stress, marital stress.
I struggled with depression and anxiety. Our mind is the gateway to both our spirit and our body.
And persons should be taking care of their mental state in the same way that you take care of your physical state.
I also sought professional counseling, and one of the things that I learned from my counselors is that it's most important for you to take care of yourself first.
Eating right,
Exercise,
yoga, meditation.
it's the rest every day. Getting some fresh air. Even if it's just a simple drive out, a simple walk out.
If you're struggling with depression,
You should reach out and seek a professional to help you go through these problems. You don't have to struggle alone.
It's important to take care of your mental health
Every day. Every day.
every day.
mental health matters.
Alright, and today we're going to talk about mental illness in Jamaica. There's a mental illness crisis in Jamaica. Right? So let me read this off first. Alright, so what triggers this? Somebody sent a link and said, please address the mental illness crisis in Jamaica. And I said that we have done this topic before, but I think we need to do it again, since people are asking to do it again. This stems from going through the Star, right? I'm telling you before that the Star is one of my favorite papers out of Jamaica. This story says the elderly woman that was chopped to death by a madman, right? And as the story reads, it says an elderly woman was chopped to death in Falmouth, Trelawney, Usain Bolt placed that, by a man who is said to be of unsound mind. The incident took place Thursday morning near the post office on Market Street, And police reports are that Jocelyn Gomez, 72 years old, who lived at Wakeland Drive, was chopped several times by Damon Williams, a 21-year-old, who is believed to be of unsound mind. Williams has since been taken into custody. Remember the youth where chop up the little girl after him rape her? Remember the youth where chop up the little girl after him rape her? He was said to be of unsound mind. He was walking around. People were saying that for days he wasn't looking like himself, he never sound like himself. Some doctors, they can't really explain, but them have a better explanation than religion.
Yeah, and actually look.
And actually look and analyze.
And the thing is, they
Six warning signs you're dealing with someone toxic. We'd all like to believe the best of people. Unfortunately, that can get us in trouble sometimes. Toxic people do exist, and chances are we've met one or two. Sometimes they might not realize they're causing harm to others. On other occasions, they're fully aware of the power they hold over other people and actively intend to do harm. Fortunately, there are warning signs you can look for to see if the person you're dealing with is a toxic person. Before we tell you about these important warning signs, make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to watch our videos. Now pay close attention to all these warning signs of toxic people, as this information could be exactly what you need in your life right now. Number 1. Toxic people play the victim. Most of us are guilty of throwing a pity party for ourselves every once in a while. Things happen, and sometimes we just want to feel sad about it. But sooner or later we snap out of it, focus on finding solutions, and look on the bright side of life. Other people are in a constant state of pity party. Have you met them? You probably know or have known a person who thought the world was out to get them. People who struggle with the victim mentality don't think they have power over their lives, and they blame other people and circumstances for how unhappy they are. They also avoid responsibility like the plague. Imagine that you're walking down the street and you see a man take a tumble. You rush to help him stand up, and you notice that, luckily, he just has a small scrape on his knee. He thanks you and asks you if you can drive him to the pharmacy. So you take him to the pharmacy. He then asks you to help him with another chore, and then another. This is an example of how playing the victim can give someone the power to control another person. They prey on your feelings of empathy and goodwill to see how much money, time, and energy they can take from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you believed someone owed you an apology, but by the end of the conversation, you ended up apologizing instead? That is a classic victim attitude in which they flip the situation. Ask yourself these questions. Do you try to uplift someone while all they can do is put themselves down? Do you try to offer constructive criticism, but the person acts defensively? Do you get blamed for someone else's problems? If the answer is yes, you might be dealing with someone with a victim mentality. Number 2. Emotional abuse. Emotional abuse can be one of the most painful forms of violence and a killer of self-esteem. It creates scars that can last longer than physical ones, and it's difficult to spot. It can leave you with depression, confusion, a lack of motivation, self-blame, and low self-esteem. You might be a victim of emotional abuse or abusing someone you love without meaning to. Emotional abuse can be verbal, yelling, belittling, criticism, and accusing. It can also be subtle. Intimidation, manipulation, and the silent treatment. Ask yourself these questions to spot if you're in an emotionally abusive situation. Do you find yourself walking on eggshells around someone? Does it seem as if this person treats you like a child? Does this person routinely ridicule and disregard your opinions, thoughts, and feelings? Does this person make you feel responsible for all the problems in your relationship? If you answered yes, you might be the victim of emotional abuse. If possible, you need to distance yourself from this person. Number 3. Pathological liars. No one is perfect when it comes to lying. We might tell small lies or lie by omission. Pathological liars take lying to the extreme. A pathological liar is someone who constantly tells lies, usually in an effort to protect their image. They are masters of manipulation and can lie straight to your face. They tend to be impulsive people with a need to impress. Their lies might not always have a purpose, and sometimes they might lie to you just because they can. Dealing with a pathological liar can leave you feeling confused, betrayed, and paranoid. It might even make you question your sanity. Sometimes pathological lying can be a symptom of more serious problems, like borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and depression. These disorders require professional medical help and can be dangerous when left unaddressed. Do you know a pathological liar? Ask yourself these questions. Have you caught someone lying several times? Does someone constantly lie to you about small and mundane things? Has someone that lied to you expressed zero remorse? Number 4. Toxic people seek to control. Some toxic people can be master manipulators, and they are clever about hiding their true intentions. Controlling people might want to know where you are and who you are with. They might be vocal about it or try to control you in more subtle ways. In extreme cases, if the person is a narcissist or sociopath, they might be completely incapable of feeling remorse and recognizing their bad behavior. They might have learned such behavior through an unconscious drive called the repetition compulsion. It is a psychological drive to repeat and enact the same traumatic events that you experienced as a child. To a certain extent, the repetition compulsion explains why, if one or both of your parents were controlling you, you'll try to enforce control over your partner or children. Ask yourself the following questions to see if you are dealing with a controlling person. Does someone need to know where you are at all times? Does someone micromanage your work? Does someone pull you away from your loved ones to keep you all to them?
They can't keep a good man down. Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my grounds. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a draw first. But I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. When they come with their evil thought, I just listen whenever they talk. I is the light into my dark. He cut and clear all my path. They fight me without a cause, trying to make my life so hard. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, give it all reward. I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. So down to mix me up in your dirty game. You're only trying to tarnish my name. You're only looking for the innocent to blame. When you're the ones who wish the guns down the lane. You only cause destruction and the pain, but the righteous will live and the rain. mine. Love is all I got to give and I'm not to shine. Looking towards the future, the sky I can't tame. Cause I'm so solid as a rock and they just can't stop me now. Even when they send their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. So they can't keep a good man down. Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Who's a bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a dropper. Solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Tell you about black man supremacy. Ice the Rastafari. Oi, oi, Selassie I will take. Ayo, hey, these are the trumpets coming to make the sound. Hey, watch over us. Emperor Selassie, hide them your roads, rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them your gnashing of teeth. Hey, guide over us. Holy Emmanuel, Isis, and knees could never get weak. I know it is a must for us to make it home. To them you're gnashing of teeth or seat. These are those who constantly they have been placing the rocks on the traps, leaving devil snares laying. And then wish for all of them hate to be falling. Yet in a them face the witness die uprising. Feeling high, making it onto my way. No apology, fire on them every day. Conspiracy leads the game you play. Now the fall on the knees without my say. Hey, guide over us. Holy Emmanuel, I is a road, rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them you're gnashing of teeth. Yo, guide over us. Emperor Selassie, Isis, and knees could never get weak. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them you're gnashing of teeth. Them for know I'm from the mountain and the valleys. Oh, oh, just tell me so I run both river banks. Within life you've got the valleys, yeah, yeah. Here is the Rasta youth voice giving thanks. Hey, Judge, I give my man health and strength. Working for you makes no sense. You could never put a dime in my pocket. King Selassie on the front line, so watch this. Guide over us. Emperor Selassie, I them your road, rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them you're gnashing of teeth.
Yes, good evening.
How you been? You all right?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
Okay, then. Well, first we want to give thanks and praise to the Most High. Give thanks to the great man, Kinsu's on the line with us. And Kinsu, it's good to have you on the line because I know you've done a lot of work around the whole thing about emotions and, you know, the whole thing about relationship with our parents, etc. In fact, you did phone in on this station here a few weeks ago, right, and touch on the same subject matter. And one of the things that we've been talking about, the thing about mental health, and you was part of that brilliant event what took place a few weeks ago, right? And we'll be doing a part 2. So it's very important for us to really continue the conversation, right? Because as you said that, you know, you're probably touching on people's sore corn on their toes, so to speak, you know. But we need to feel uncomfortable because we need to have these conversations. See?
Yes.
But I want to go straight to the chase, Kinsu, because you know, what is it? Why do you think that? Because all right, let's flip it around a little bit, right? I know for a fact a lot of issues we have stems back to relationship we have with our parents, and it plays out, our relationship we have with our youth, them, or pitney them, so to speak, and we haven't really dealt with these things yet. But what made you, do the research, do this kind of work? What made you go into this kind of area? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, in a nutshell, it's life. Life. I mean, basically, I came out of a 13-and-a-half-year marriage, which reached to a point where what people would refer to as a breakup or a breakdown of a relationship, which I understand now was more of a completion. Why I say completion is because of what I learned and what's come out of it, because I realized that there was a pattern going on in myself from previous relationships as well, which I realized life was trying to tell me something, and what it was trying to tell me is to look within to see how I'm relating to others, especially intimate, because it's when you get into the intimate relationships, as in, spouse, marriage and so forth, that's where these problems really, really raise themselves. They show themselves, So it's coming to the end of that, and I think as an individual, I started to understand before the breakup that, or before the completion, that it's not about blame. It's not about the blame game.
Right.
So having reached, because going back in previous relationships, I would have blamed the opposite, my partner.
Yes.
For the breakup, I would have put blame there. But maturing up through, age and studies and understanding, I realized, well, it's not about blaming. So when I saw this completion, it was a load of study. I'm just jumping through, through it, but a load of study took place from my own perspective, and I realized it's not about blame. So when the completion took place, I started to look straight at myself.
Okay.
And from there, I read one book first, which I if anybody wants to go into this, I suggest a very good starting point is an author by the name of Alice Miller. Now, Alice Miller, she's known as a pioneer in this field. A lot of psychiatrists and psychotherapists, they come from her platform, her understanding. You see? So I just started to study, and I started to realize that there's a lot of damage that was done in my upbringing. You see? And I was taken into relationships, and also raising my children with it also. So from there, I just kept going, and I've done quite a bit, I should say, in regards to actually confronting what we call original pain. You see, original pain is when a child is young and it's 5 years old, 3 years old, and the environment is too adverse, too adversarial. It's too strict. It's too rigid. Is the thing, because rigidity. When you talk about rigidity, as in something that can't bend, it's inflexible. They don't bend. They just everything just strict and this way, and you got to do it like this, and if you don't do it like this, I go and beat you, and you understand, and you must eat this when I tell you must eat this, and you understand. It's too rigid. That's not a human relationship.
Yeah.
But most of us are growing up in that. So I realized, that upbringing now, it led to me basically closing down. This is what I realized in hindsight, that I closed down because I was known as a shy boy, to be honest.
Okay.
You might not see that now. But various things I had to do to kind of start chipping that off. You understand? Yeah. So coming up now, I closed down. Shyness is when you close down.
Yeah.
And there's various other conditions. There's studies now, such as they got the adverse childhood study. You also got the Dunedin study, which is a very good study that follows the children from the young all the way up to big people, adult, and they follow and see the effects of rigid or inadequate parenting. They see the effects because that leads to a lot of diseases. A lot of the disease that we talk about, even diabetes, cancer, and all of that, is coming from the stress that goes on all the way up. Because when you're stressed in that environment, with beating and rigidity and, you know, and just criticize, because a lot of us get criticized. They tell us that we're worthless and what we ever come to, why your end going bad and all of that stuff. You understand? You know what I'm saying? So we're told all of that is very damaging to a child. Very damaging. So when you get that, you know, you have to overcome that. So now, when you leave that environment, if you reach 17, 18 and you leave that environment, what a lot of people don't understand, the reaction to that stress still carries on inside of your body. And it leads to inflammation. And the inflammation leads to dis-ease. And there's people today that have chronic nerve conditions such as ALS, Parkinson's, myasthenia gravis, all these names that they give these diseases, that they go back to the inflammation which burns out the nervous system. And it damages and it shuts down and mash up the whole body. And this is coming from the stress what's still going. So when you leave home, you still got this stress. They call it toxic stress because adrenaline and cortisol is still being fired, even though you've left the dangerous environment. Even though you've left the unsafe environment, there's still things going on. You know, I'm nearly 50 now. I mean, going back 48 years old, I can identify issues that relate back to the stressful environment. Yeah. You can relive it like it's just happened. You understand? So with all of this now, there's studies that are showing that leads to disease. All them disease we talk about from years ago, diabetes, high blood pressure, you know, all of them now, they can connect them to the stress, because the emotions and the breath of life and the mental and the body are not separate, as they're one entity. So the stress shuts down the body, damages the body, damages the oxygen, can lead to cancer, stagnation. You know what I'm saying? So it's very damaging. So what we're saying, we're not saying this to blame and to hate on anybody. We're saying this to understand, because most of us as adults now are going into relationships, and this is work relationships, all kind of relationships, you know, and we're number one, anger, temper, because we're holding pain. The pain is suppressed. Alice Miller calls it unconscious repression. That means that you was not aware, because Dougie, these things are happening, and as a child, it's an involuntary. What happens? The body just reacts to the environment, and we don't even know that we're doing it. So we're shutting down ourselves. We don't even know. They call it unconscious repression.
But just to ride on what you're saying, because you know, when one tends to react and get into that kind of rage, you know, it's nothing to do with the situation. It's something was built up from time and stress and you know, because you know that's
profound. That's profound what you're saying there, Dougie.
Because I mean, it could be you at home, your people there, man. All of a sudden them said, "Sure, warm to you, you're the immediate and just go in some rage or whatever." It's nothing to do with that. It's just something press anger what they have, or it's, you know, you could be with somebody and you're not man of reason and whatever. We know you're definitely a little talking thing, and someone come in the argument, then get vexed or they get personal, and them getting some temper and they get personal, and next thing they want to fight. You know what I mean? But it's just something, a pressed anger. What's inside of them? You see?
That's right. That's right. You're so right. And I mean, when you say that, I mean, you know, people, a lot of us don't understand that, and that's profound, because look out in the world today. We're talking about the youth. The angry youth.
It's true. You use a good example. It's a good example.
Right. So where's the anger coming from? Because none of us not born angry. No, listen. There's no bad boy don't born, you know. No bad boy don't born bad. We must understand this.
Yeah.
The divine is in us at birth. Each child is a divine being.
Yeah.
And if we grow them right, they will stay balanced
Yeah.
and calm.
Yeah.
But if you grow them wrong, because there's certain developmental needs, what a being, that divine being needs to be nurtured in a divine way. But it cannot be nurtured in a divine way if the parents have their pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what my parents is passing on their pain and their shame onto me, and I'm passing it on to my children.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's happening, but it's ignorance because we don't know.
Yeah.
Once I found out, I stopped straight away and I apologize to my children. You see what I'm saying? And I can explain. I can talk to my bigger children, my adults. I can explain to them and talk to them, and they understand me now. You see, so it's that awareness is crucial, and it mends the damage. Because truth, let me say this: truth is such a healer. Just truth.
Truth. Yeah.
And we are so afraid of truth. We're hiding. We're doing everything we can to hide from the truth. And then we're running through life like we're something, like we're somebody.
Yeah.
But we haven't faced the truth of ourselves. It's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, we have to deal with it. You know, Iyanla Van Zandt.
Yeah.
She's great in this topic. You know.
Yeah.
And
She's very good. She's very good. I must admit.
Yeah. And she talks about these pain, these wounds. They bleed on us now. You see, they bleed. So if they're bleeding on us, we need to go into the wound and clean it up, and then move forward. You understand? She says, call it what it is. You see, and we don't want to do that. We want to, because of shame. Because when a child, for example, a child is standing in front of the TV, for example, and it's in the way of the TV, and daddy want to watch him special cricket and all them things there. And instead of you just say, you know, please can you move away from the TV? Say, come out of the way, boy, you're too disgusting and blah, 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 blah. You're shaming the child.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you understand?
And
You're shaming the child.
And then shut down from there, innit? Yeah.
Because you keep doing that.
Yeah.
What you're doing, you're making them worthless. It's a big thing. You make them feel work, because then you're going to tell them, say, worthless too.
Yeah.
You're worthless and disgusting. These are powerful words that you're saying to a child. Is growing. The brain is growing.
Yeah.
You see, and when the brain is forming, and then what he's got to do now, because the brain's forming, in order to get away from that, he's going to tune out. So the child's going to tune out away from the parents, and that brain is not going to grow properly now. It's going to grow in the tuned out form.
Right.
You see, so it's going to grow as separate and shy, as they call it, and withdrawn, and enclosed. You understand? That's how it's going to grow, because he's growing in accordance to the environmental issues that he's facing. You see? So it's a lot. It's quite a lot, and it's all we have to do is really get into ourselves. A lot of us know this. We know this, but it's just that we push it away because we've been made to feel kind of worthless. So it's hard for us to look at this. We don't have the self-esteem to look at this, so we turn around and reject it.
Yeah.
And we'll curse and we'll fight and we'll do everything to get away from this.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll pretend, we'll put on masks, we'll pretend to be this, we'll pretend to be all kind of people and memberships to all kind of organizations. And you see what I'm saying? It's anything not to face this truth. And if you're living untruth, what comes from untruth? More untruth.
More untruth, yeah.
You see?
Yeah. So let me ask a question in terms of moving forward, and I think we talked about it the other day, and it comes down awareness as the first thing. You have to be aware. So how would you go about in terms of reversing the process, in terms of, in your case, if you're doing a consultation or in terms of, I mean, just, you know.
Right, yeah, so we're going to have to do some workshops and so forth. I'm just preparing myself to get more further into it. But it starts with awareness, and then really, you know, a lot of cases it's worthwhile doing one-to-one therapy.
Right.
You see?
Right.
Because not everybody, I mean, I'm not saying this egotistically, but not everybody can approach it like I did.
Yeah.
You see, because I've done a lot of what I've done is just by myself, you know, studying and applying a lot of the exercises and facing the truth and doing some serious exercises. If I went into them now, you'll see how serious they are. Some serious exercise to face my original pain.
Yeah.
But some people, a lot of people will need like a supervision to go through that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Which is there. But like I said to you the other day, black people have this thing that therapy is for mad people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
To me, therapy, like how you would go to the gym and service your muscles and your cardiovascular, your body, same way you should go to therapy and service your mind and your emotions.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But we've got this phobia, and the phobia goes back to the problem because what's inside of us.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's what everything goes back to it. Every single. You see, I think I said to you before. Since I've been on this journey, I've gained so many answers to things that I was confused about in my life. Everything just makes sense now.
Yeah.
So therapy, awareness, therapy is important. We've been doing some group workshops and so forth going forward. I'm doing a diploma in psychotherapy at the moment, so I'll get the qualification and move into some therapeutic work. You understand?
Right. And I'm glad to say you're riding upon this, because one of the things I get to find just by observation and by just talk to people who's going through certain challenges, that they're not prepared to deal with things, or as you said it one time right the other day, and that really stuck to me. When you look in the mirror, if you're honest with yourself, right, you see yourself, right, you're a damn imposter. You're an imposter, you're a fraud, right? Because you're not prepared to look in the mirror and deal with certain truth. See, and that really stuck out to me, because that's what it comes down to. And like I said, that you really have to be honest with yourself, right? And that's why if you look at the woman you just mentioned, what's her name again? The woman just mentioned earlier on.
Yanda.
She's been through certain challenges, right? And she had to confront them, right? And it's all about healing that stuff there. But she had to work on herself,
That's right.
And son, and people are aware, Oprah, she went through some serious things, you know what I mean? She was abused when she was young, and I say she wasn't attractive and this and that. But the interesting thing about her, that she had a love for reading, right? And for personal development, but for reading, and she's able to, educate herself and that stuff there, and start doing a lot of work on herself, But she had to do a lot of healing, on herself. See?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And etc. So the work comes down to self, and
that's right.
This kind of ties in the other thing we're talking about, the other thing about mental health, because again we have to big up Kinsu, because when a man's pan point, right? You was pan point, you know what I mean? And we would love to have more time with you, but I go already, man. We have to.
No, man, I'm here, man. I'm available anytime, man. This is the works, man. This is the work.
We like to give it more time, but I said that we done a talk on the mental health, man. You was on point, man. I mean, just love. It was like, when I listen to music and I don't want the music to stop. That's how it come across that.
I hear you.
Yeah, man. It's full joy myself, man. Because you was passionate as well, and also, Lyndon and Melvin. I mean, it's like a tune and a band, man. You know what I mean?
Yes, I get you.
But
it's about truth, because I mean, them two men are also dealing with truth.
Well, the funny thing is that when Lyndon was speaking, right, and he talking about his relationship with his son, he was, emotionally he started to cry.
Yeah, that's right.
Cry.
That's right, and that's important. You see, that aspect there is a very important thing, because the reason why a lot of us can't cry, we crystallize, we're hardened, and that feminine part of us is shut down. So that means you're going through life with half a being. Yeah. So we have to learn to really allow. And when you start going through some of these exercises and facing the truth, you realize that So a lot of discharge. Because the tears is discharge.
Yeah, it's
because,
yeah.
When we was going through the thing at the trauma you get a charge. We're charged with the trauma. That's a charge. So when you have the tears, now you discharge. You see, and when you discharge in the tears is toxicity and all that negative energy is coming out because we've been holding it in. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very important. So we've got to discharge, and a lot of us are fighting to discharge. We just keep building up the charge and building up the charge. That's the rage and the anger that's sitting in us and accumulating. You know, so it's very important to be able to release. Very, very important. And that's what's causing these issues.
Yeah. Okay then. Kinja, I wonder if you could tell a little bit about the book you have as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please, yeah.
There's a chapter in there, because it just came to a chapter called Know Thyself to Heal Thyself.
Yeah.
And that, on one of the points we just mentioned, but it's about honesty. And I said in that book, you got to be honest to know thyself. You got to be honest to thyself. But in order to be honest to thyself, you have to know thyself.
Yeah.
You see that? So that's in the book, and I actually take it on an esoteric level to kind of speak about the influences in the womb, and actually give an example in there about my own journey. Because at that stage, I didn't know where I know now, but I was familiar through the help of Laila Africa, helped me to understand that the trimesters that my mum went through, there were certain stresses, nutritional, I was looking at then.
Right.
But they also affected my personality. And I was able to identify. So that's in the book. I also have a chapter, a subheading called My Personal Emotional Laxative. You see, my personal emotional laxative. What I'm saying there, and this is part of the remedy, because I'm basically explaining how how looking at that issue helped me to kind of release and, excrete some of the emotional baggage.
Right.
Also, I mentioned a thing called reflection therapy. Now, this is something that I come from my head. Reflection therapy is basically being able to talk to your wife or your husband or your partner and say to them, tell me what, look at me and tell me what the negative things about me, what you don't tell me.
Okay. That's very powerful.
Therapy.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Yeah. Tell me that. And a lot of us, and you might find out, say, your wife or your husband not really true when you reach this point, because they, you see what I'm saying? Because we have to be able to be open up to each other.
Yeah. But you see, I'm glad you mentioned that, because and that's the only way you can grow, because you see, the truth of the matter is that that most of, I won't say most of us, but most of all those kind of ego thing. We've got this kind of thing where we feel say, sure, me alright, and nothing wrong with me, and so on, so on. And people say anything about you get on the offense. Yeah. You know what I mean? You take it personal and say, sure, Well, you have to be able to be open and like I said, tell me what you don't find good about me, you know what I mean?
Negative about me,
yeah, and that's how you grow, and
that's right.
Yeah.
That's growth. That's what relation. Les Brown. I know you love Les Brown.
See, yeah,
Les Brown said, he said, you're either growing together or dying together.
Yeah.
You see it? So there's no in between.
Yeah.
So what are we doing in this relationship? Are we growing together? Or are we dying together?
Yeah.
If we're growing together, then the only way we're going to grow, we've got to look at areas that need improvement.
Well, as Les Brown says, right, you can't see yourself if you're in the frame, you have to come out the frame.
All right. You have to come out the frame.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And it says sometimes you can't see yourself on the blind side, you know what I mean? So, so, yeah. And it's about growing, it's about growing. But it's about finding, someone who's on the same page, especially talking about committed relationship, that you're able to talk about each other. What is it you don't like about me? What is it you find very negative on so and so? And you say, well, all right. Because it's about reevaluating yourself and each other for you to grow together, developing, you know what I mean? Together.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
right. And you know the truth. If you, yeah, if you can't look, if you can't, you know, embark on truth, embrace the truth together, then what does the relationship really mean?
and I'm glad you mentioned this, you know, right? I'm glad you mentioned this, and I want people to listen to very clearly what I'm going to say here, right? That very important, because the thing is that, right, if you're in a relationship and you're talking about a relationship, a committed relationship, and some of you want to get involved with everything, right, it's important that you share with each other, you know, about each other. We don't lie about each other. It's very important. Don't hold it to yourself, because what you're doing, you're sabotaging the relationship. It's sabotaging yourself as well. Be open. You know, I'm not saying what's going to say, sure, look on you and you know, no. It has to be done in a mature way, in a mature way.
That's right.
Vice
yes, it has to be
versa.
done.
Yeah.
It's not criticism. You're not just throwing stones at each other.
Yeah.
You're reasoning it out. You know,
That's
for
it.
both to grow together.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They say a parachute, just like the mind, a parachute works best when it's open. You understand? So the mind works best when it's open.
Well, that is powerful, you know. I remember that one day, sir. Yeah. Remind me of that one day, you know. That's a powerful one there, sir. See? Yeah, man. That's powerful, man. All right, so look, you know, where get people go with the books from, Russ?
Yeah, well, Melanin Clinic is the website. You can go Amazon as well. On Amazon, you can get Spiritosis, the root cause to all modern disease. Yeah, Spiritosis, the root cause to all modern disease, by Kenzu Imhotep. And you can get that on Amazon. You can get it on my website as well, melaninclinic.com. Yeah, melaninclinic.com. And my number is 07983 678 199.
All
right.
Wait, you know, so Kinso, I'm quite excited. Anytime you speak, man, I get very excited. You know, just reason with you, I get very excited. And, you know, I have a plan, man, because one thing I want to do, I want to push you out there, man, because you got something to offer. You know what I mean? You know, you got something to offer, man. And we want to work and push you out there, as well as people like Melvin and Lyndon and them, man, there. See?
Man, appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Enough love to you. Yeah, man. You know, we not leave you out. Never.
Yeah. You know, but yeah, man. I'm excited, man, because man, I'm very excited, man. Very excited. Very excited. You know, very excited, Auntie. Yeah,
but it's because it's a new day, you know, and it's you know, this truth. You know, it's a new day. You see what I'm saying? And it's something to be excited about. And fear, they say excitement and fear. When you're excited about something, but you have a fear also running alongside it, that's positive. You see, that's positive, because the fear is necessary, but the excitement is there. So you hold the fear in one hand, and you have the excitement in the other hand, and you move forward.
Yeah.
You see, so it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
So listen, brethren.
Yeah, man.
Give thanks. Right. And we reason probably tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. No problem. Give
thanks.
Man.
Love again, man.
All right. Yeah. Respect. Enough love. Bro.
Yeah, man. All right then. Give thanks. Yeah. That was a beautiful brother, King Soup, on the line. And every time King Soup speak, man, you know, man, make me feel strong, man. Man, make me feel strong. Make me strong, because this brother, he have so much wisdom. Right, I know it's so much, but he's very humble with it. But I get a bounce, you know. I get a boost. I get excited when his brother talk. See, you know, because him talk with truth. He don't talk with ego and try to boost up for him chest, because he know A, B, C, and D. You know, and he's really grounded for the people. So, yeah, man, nothing but love we have for Dr. Kinsu, see? And also let people know he'll be speaking at the event on the 8th. He'll be doing a workshop. So we call people to go to the his workshop. See? The only thing is that we have to be careful of numbers, because we don't want the players to be overflowed, you know, but he'll be doing some workshop. Etc. See, as well as Lyndon and Melvin. We do some workshop. See, yeah. Okay then. So you're lucky to the big one. Bless Radio.
Giving God praises for this breath of life. Beholding His beauty in my sight. Whoa, whoa. Watching the birds flap their wings across the skies. Seeing the mist disappears with the sunrise. Mother Nature unfolds before my eyes. Oh, yeah. I've got visions. Oh, I've got dreams and I've got sunshine in my life. I've got everything I wanted, 'cause I've got the love of Christ. Ooh, I've got visions. Oh, I've got dreams and I've got sunshine in my life. I've got everything I've wanted, 'cause I've got love inside. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Above all things, God has given man dominion, so we can live in the fullness of creation. Once He obeys, then everything will be right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. As in my dreams, when mankind acknowledges to be redeemed, he must serve the highest. That's what I see when darkness turns to light. Whoa, and I've got visions. Oh, I've got dreams and I've got sunshine in my life. I've got everything I want, 'cause I got the love of Christ. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Got dreams, yes, visions, visions. I got vision, yes, yes, and I got dreams and I've got sunshine in my life. I've got everything I want to know, 'cause I got the love of Christ. Yeah, 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 yeah. I've got vision, visions, yes. I got dreams and I got sunshine.
Church and not, but you never know what the world will be. Church and not, open up your eyes and see. Judge and not, 'cause you never know what the world will be. Judge and not, open up your eyes and see. It's another day in Babylon. Everyone got their own plan.
6 warning signs you're dealing with someone toxic. We'd all like to believe the best of people. Unfortunately, that can get us in trouble sometimes. Toxic people do exist, and chances are we've met one or two. Sometimes they might not realize they're causing harm to others. On other occasions, they're fully aware of the power they hold over other people and actively intend to do harm. Fortunately, there are warning signs you can look for to see if the person you're dealing with is a toxic person. Before we tell you about these important warning signs, make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to watch our videos. Now pay close attention to all these warning signs of toxic people, as this information could be exactly what you need in your life right now. Number 1. Toxic people play the victim. Most of us are guilty of throwing a pity party for ourselves every once in a while. Things happen, and sometimes we just want to feel sad about it. But sooner or later we snap out of it, focus on finding solutions, and look on the bright side of life. Other people are in a constant state of pity party. Have you met them? You probably know or have known a person who thought the world was out to get them. People who struggle with the victim mentality don't think they have power over their lives, and they blame other people and circumstances for how unhappy they are. They also avoid responsibility like the plague. Imagine that you're walking down the street and you see a man take a tumble. You rush to help him stand up, and you notice that, luckily, he just has a small scrape on his knee. He thanks you and asks you if you can drive him to the pharmacy. So you take him to the pharmacy. He then asks you to help him with another chore, and then another. This is an example of how playing the victim can give someone the power to control another person. They prey on your feelings of empathy and goodwill to see how much money, time, and energy they can take from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you believed someone owed you an apology, but by the end of the conversation, you ended up apologizing instead? That is a classic victim attitude in which they flip the situation. Ask yourself these questions. Do you try to uplift someone while all they can do is put themselves down? Do you try to offer constructive criticism, but the person acts defensively? Do you get blamed for someone else's problems? If the answer is yes, you might be dealing with someone with a victim mentality. Number 2. Emotional abuse. Emotional abuse can be one of the most painful forms of violence and a killer of self-esteem. It creates scars that can last longer than physical ones, and it's difficult to spot. It can leave you with depression, confusion, a lack of motivation, self-blame, and low self-esteem. You might be a victim of emotional abuse or abusing someone you love without meaning to. Emotional abuse can be verbal, yelling, belittling, criticism, and accusing. It can also be subtle, intimidation, manipulation, and the silent treatment. Ask yourself these questions to spot if you're in an emotionally abusive situation. Do you find yourself walking on eggshells around someone? Does it seem as if this person treats you like a child? Does this person routinely ridicule and disregard your opinions, thoughts, and feelings? Does this person make you feel responsible for all the problems in your relationship? If you answered yes, you might be the victim of emotional abuse. If possible, you need to distance yourself from this person. Number 3. Pathological liars. No one is perfect when it comes to lying. We might tell small lies or lie by omission. Pathological liars take lying to the extreme. A pathological liar is someone who constantly tells lies, usually in an effort to protect their image. They are masters of manipulation and can lie straight to your face. They tend to be impulsive people with a need to impress. Their lies might not always have a purpose, and sometimes they might lie to you just because they can. Dealing with the pathological liar can leave you feeling confused, betrayed, and paranoid. It might even make you question your sanity. Sometimes pathological lying can be a symptom of more serious problems, like borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and depression. These disorders require professional medical help and can be dangerous when left unaddressed. Do you know a pathological liar? Ask yourself these questions. Have you caught someone lying several times? Does someone constantly lie to you about small and mundane things? Has someone that lied to you expressed zero remorse? Number 4. Toxic people seek to control. Some toxic people can be master manipulators, and they are clever about hiding their true intentions. Controlling people might want to know where you are and who you are with. They might be vocal about it or try to control you in more subtle ways. In extreme cases, if the person is a narcissist or sociopath, they might be completely incapable of feeling remorse and recognizing their bad behavior. They might have learned such behavior through an unconscious drive called the repetition compulsion. It is a psychological drive to repeat and enact the same traumatic events that you experienced as a child. To a certain extent, the repetition compulsion explains why, if one or both of your parents were controlling you, you'll try to enforce control over your partner or children. Ask yourself the following questions to see if you are dealing with a controlling person. Does someone need to know where you are at all times? Does someone micromanage your work? Does someone pull you away from your loved ones to keep you all to themselves? Number 5. People who don't respect boundaries. Imagine that you draw a line on the floor and ask a person not to cross it. However, instead of respecting your wishes, they cross your boundary just to see if they can, to test you, or to actually cause you harm. To properly function as civil members of society, some boundaries seem to be obvious to most of us, respecting someone's personal space, private property, and right to free speech. But certain people project their vulnerabilities and insecurities onto another person in the form of anger and bullying. They are incapable of respecting boundaries. They can't process their own toxicity, so they deal with it by putting it onto someone else. A perfect example of this is bullies. Bullies want to push your buttons until you break. They want to step into your personal space, destroy your private property, and break your will. They need to make someone feel small so they can feel big. Bullying happens in all sorts of environments, not just school. It could be happening in your home or office. Check to see if you are dealing with a bully. Does someone constantly play with your weaknesses to pinpoint them? Does someone continue to cross your boundaries after you have asked them not to? Does someone intimidate you by entering your personal space? Is someone gossiping about you or humiliating you? Number 6. Negative people. Everyone can feel negative sometimes. Picture that you are heading into a work meeting, feeling happy and confident with yourself. Then you see a negative coworker walk in. The whole team might have been feeling happy and optimistic at the start of the meeting, but one negative coworker has the power to bring the whole team down if left unchecked. As the proverb goes, a rotten apple spoils the barrel. And that can clearly be seen when it comes to negativity. Before you know it, the whole barrel is infected. Some people wish to share their negativity with the world, and it can spread like wildfire. Are you dealing with a negative person? Check with these questions. Does your mood drop after interacting with a particular person? Does someone walk into the room and you immediately feel put out? Is there someone that can only speak of bad news or negative stories? Is there someone who complains nonstop? While watching this video, did you recognize yourself as a toxic person? Test yourself with the following questions. Do you secretly wish that something bad would happen to someone? Do you enjoy sharing your tragic stories with others? Do you have a tendency to be jealous or possessive? If you answered yes, there are things you can do. Try attending counseling to change your behaviors and be a positive influence in the world. If you think you've been dealing with a toxic person, you can try to do the following things. Maintain positive boundaries. Be assertive about your needs and values. Disengage from people who make you feel bad about yourself. Speak to a counselor. We all deserve to live in peace and happiness. If you find yourself in one of these situations, we hope you can take the necessary steps to reach for a more positive situation. Do you know any other warning signs to look out for? Share this video with someone you think might be at risk of toxicity and share your thoughts in the comments section. And please don't forget to click subscribe to always be in the know with Brightside.
New research finds class matters a lot less in America when it comes to economic mobility for black males. Income inequality is often cited as an important factor in holding people back. But a new analysis suggests black boys and black men face economic disadvantages even if they start off from a similar point of income and wealth as their white counterparts. Yamiche El-Sindor is back with our conversation.
A new study released this week underscores just how big a gap African American males face when it comes to moving up the economic ladder. Some of the findings are dramatic. White boys who grow up in rich households are likely to remain that way. Black boys who are also raised at the top are more likely to become poor instead of staying wealthy in their own adult households. Black boys fare worse than white boys in 99% of America, even when children grow up next to each other with parents who earn similar incomes. Raj Chetty of Stanford University is one of the co-authors of this study. He joins me now. Thank you so much, Raj, for being here. This report seems to indicate that black men will fare worse than white men, even if they are raised in households with similar incomes. Can you explain what's happening there?
Yeah, so one of the most striking findings of the study to us was that even if you take black and white boys raised in families at exactly the same income level, even at high income levels, you see that black boys end up with very different outcomes on average relative to white men. They're less likely to complete high school, they're less likely to go to college, they have significantly lower earnings in adulthood. And that phenomenon, interestingly, applies really only to black men. When we look at black versus white women, you see much more similarity in their outcomes if they grow up in families of similar income. So it's something unique to what's happening to black men in America that I think is really a concern for generations going forward in terms of perpetuating inequality by race.
And that inequality is really striking to me. One of the things that this study reports is that African American men who will grow up in households with two parents that are earning $140,000, they fare about the same as a white young man who is raised by a single mother making just $60,000. How can that be true? Because it feels so counterintuitive. And what does that mean for African American families and their futures?
Yeah, what you're getting at really is the finding that there's a great deal of downward mobility in black families. So you would have thought intuitively, that's what we expected going in, is when you get to a certain income level, maybe racial disparities disappear, that at some point kind of escape the poverty trap. But that really doesn't seem to be the case. Even once your parents reach a high income level, it continues to be the case that black men have higher odds of essentially ending up in the bottom of the income distribution than staying at the top of the income distribution. And that's why you get this pattern that black men's outcomes look comparable to white men growing up in relatively low or middle income families.
You mentioned in the study that there are unique obstacles that black men face. Just to be clear, are we talking about racism and racial bias, or what are those unique obstacles that black men in particular face?
Yeah, so to try to get at that, we look at how this varies across different parts of the country. So look neighborhood by neighborhood and ask, are there some neighborhoods in America where you see small black-white gaps, or perhaps black men doing better than white men? And surprisingly, you find essentially no such areas. In 99% of neighborhoods in America, you see better outcomes for white men than black men. Now, digging in deeper, you can ask, where do we see relatively good outcomes for black men? And there are a couple of factors that pop out from that analysis. One, you see that areas with larger rates of father presence in homes among black men, you have better outcomes for black boys there. So if there are more two-parent families, particularly among African-American households, you see better outcomes for black boys. And second, you see that areas with lower levels of racial bias among whites tend to have better outcomes for black men. So those are a couple of the factors that I think could be associated with these better outcomes, but I think more remains to be understood in terms of exactly what's driving these really sharp differences.
Gotcha. And I want to talk about the differences between black women and black men. There are some critiques out there, critics of the study out there, that are arguing that black women who don't have long-term incomes weren't counted in your study. Is that accurate? And could you talk a little bit about your findings of black women and the data that you used?
Yeah, so we include everyone. So the power of the study is that we're able to track, using anonymized data, about 20 million Americans from birth to adulthood, people born in the early 1980s whose incomes we're looking at in their late 30s. And that includes everyone, whether you're working or not. Every single person is counted. And so if you're not working, you're assigned an income of 0 and you're counted in the study. And what we show is that even taking that into account, black women, conditional on growing up in a family that's at the same income level as white women, they end up with very similar outcomes. They have similar levels of earnings, similar wage rates, similar college attendance rates, they work at similar rates. So it's really remarkable how for women you don't see that much of a black-white disparity, very starkly different from men. Now I should emphasize that doesn't mean that women are living in households with the same income levels, because black women tend to be married to men who are black, who have lower incomes, and they also are married at lower rates. And so if you look at household income, of course you do see a significant disparity between black women and white women. But when you look at their own earnings, they look very similar.
And then I guess I have one quick question, which is, tell me a little bit about the solutions here. You mentioned in the study that mentoring might be a possibility, that there might be some policy changes. What do you have to say about how this could change?
Yeah, so in thinking about the solutions, I think it's very important to remember that you continue to see these disparities even among kids growing up on the same street, going to the same schools, and so on. And so often solutions people think of are things like, we need to create greater opportunities for black and white kids to grow up in the same neighborhoods, to attend the same schools, and so forth, to reduce residential or physical segregation in America. And while I think that can be extremely valuable, what this study shows is you need to do more than that. Even among kids growing up in the same area, you need to create the same opportunities for black men to thrive as you see for white men. That could involve things like mentoring programs, for example, like the My Brother's Keeper program, targeted at low-income men to give them pathways to success. It could involve efforts to try to reduce racial bias. It could involve efforts to try to create more racial integration within schools and within neighborhoods so black and white kids have similar opportunities.
Thank you so much, Raj, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yo, when them a go realize good works wanna advertise, when them a go legalize, the farmer man a beg a legal fly, when them a go realize government them a terrorize, cooperation them a capitalize, while the farmer man a beg a legal fly. Yo, finally the herbs come around. The high grade when me a look for, me get it by the pound, yeah. When Calibut come around, a pure ganja man tune, just a lick from the sound, yeah. Finally the herbs come around. The high grade when man a look for, me stock it by the pound, yeah. When Babylon a come around, ask them where them a go search for.
Six warning signs you're dealing with someone toxic. We'd all like to believe the best of people. Unfortunately, that can get us in trouble sometimes. Toxic people do exist, and chances are we've met one or two. Sometimes they might not realize they're causing harm to others. On other occasions, they're fully aware of the power they hold over other people and actively intend to do harm. Fortunately, there are warning signs you can look for to see if the person you're dealing with is a toxic person. Before we tell you about these important warning signs, make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to watch our videos. Now pay close attention to all these warning signs of toxic people, as this information could be exactly what you need in your life right now. Number 1. Toxic people play the victim. Most of us are guilty of throwing a pity party for ourselves every once in a while. Things happen, and sometimes we just want to feel sad about it. But sooner or later we snap out of it, focus on finding solutions, and look on the bright side of life. Other people are in a constant state of pity party. Have you met them? You probably know or have known a person who thought the world was out to get them. People who struggle.
You gotta be hungry. What is your legacy? What will your statement be? Resolve every day, read it every day. I refuse to die and unlive life. I'd like to leave this with you that Mama used to love to hear me say. She'd say, boy, say that thing for me, and I dedicate this to you, to the greatness that's within you, because it's there. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity. If neither cold poverty, famine, should go, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want. If dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. You have greatness in you. You have greatness. You gotta be hungry. Gotta be hungry. People that want to step into their greatness are hungry. You gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry. To give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it. If all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity. If neither cold poverty, famine, should go, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want. If dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. You gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry.
Somebody said, I'm hungry. Talk. I'm hungry. About being hungry. Talk. Somebody said, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. It is something I like to share some ideas and thoughts with you. I'm not asking that you believe anything that I say. I'm not asking that you agree with me. I'm merely asking that you stand on and in the conversation that we'll share with you this evening, if there's something that I say that can fit and work for you, I say use it. If not, discard it and let it be. That all right? I'm hungry. Very good. All right. I'm hungry. One of the things I have realized, and many of us have, that if you want something out of life, I'm hungry. If you want to change yourself, I'm hungry. If you want to acquire something, I'm hungry. If there's some goal that you want to reach, I'm hungry. That is really not easy as some people will make us feel. That living your dream, changing your behaviors, overcoming negative habits, it's challenging. It's hard. Living alone is just very difficult. It's hard. Once we begin to come to grips with the fact that living is difficult, it's hard. Life is very challenging. I heard a song once by a guy named Dimples called "If It Ain't One Thing, It's Another." If it ain't one thing, if it ain't one thing, if it ain't one thing, it's another. I say to you, if it ain't one thing, it's 12 others. Always something. You will never ever have a problem-free moment in life. Never ever. Somebody said, and I like this, that you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. If it ain't one thing, it's another. It's another. Anybody found that to be so? There's always something. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Hungry, 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 hungry. How many of you know people, all they do is born and grow? Right? Born and grown. I'm not making enough money. Born and grown. I'm unhappy with my job. 87% of people go to jobs that they hate. They hate. People, all they do is born and grow. Born and grow. Born and grow. Born and grow. And in addition to that, you know, as we know that we have the dubious distinction in this country that on Monday morning the heart attack rate increases over 35%. On Monday morning between 6 o'clock and 9. People going to jobs that they hate. The heart said, didn't I tell you I didn't want to go? And attack them. Some of you don't want to go to work next Monday. People, all they do is born and grow. Born and grown. I'm not making enough money. Born and grown. I'm unhappy with my job. 87% of people go to jobs that they hate. They hate. People, all they do is born and grow. Born and grow. Born and grow. So the thing is this. On Monday morning, the heart attack rate increases over 35%. On Monday morning between 6 o'clock and 9. People going to jobs that they hate. The heart said, didn't I tell you I didn't want to go? And attack them. People, all they do is born and grow. 87% of people go to jobs that they hate. They hate. People, all they do is born and grow. Born and grown. I'm not making enough money. Born and grown. I'm unhappy with my job. On Monday morning between 6 o'clock and 9, people going to jobs that they hate. People, all they do is born and grow. So how do we begin to nurture that hunger? What are the characteristics or the qualities of people that are hungry? What will it take for me to get some of the things that I want? What will it take? And being hungry for those things. What will it take? Number one, you've got to work on yourself. It's very important that you engage in an ongoing process to develop you. Spend more time on yourself than what you've been spending. Work on yourself. It's very important. You owe that to yourself. Work on yourself. I was reading a book by Og Mandino called The University of Success. Read one line, gave me a chill. I didn't have to read anything else in the book. Gave me a chill. He said, many of us never realize our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We spread ourselves too thin, don't know how to say no. And we find ourselves doing all kinds of things and never ever have time to do those things that we need to do to work on ourselves. Say no. And then there goes a second. There goes another second. There goes another second. And we can't stop and hold time. And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind in your dreams and your bills. Say no. So decide that you're going to take some time to work on you, that you deserve that. from yourself that your life deserves some prime time because you are creating your own production. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. As Michael Todd would say, you are the star of your show. You are the director. You're writing the script. And you will determine whether your life is a smash office hit or flop. You determine that. Work on yourself. Working on yourself. Talking to yourself. Work on yourself. That's so very important. Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time. Even when you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on. Work on yourself. And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. Say no. You got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up. Shut up. You've got to do this. I was going to give a presentation, and this voice inside of me saying, you can't do this. You don't have everything it takes. Shut up. Say no. Yeah, I'm behind on my bills, and you're telling me what I can't do. I have got to do it. Say no. Shut up. I'm not crazy. You'll get scared sometimes. Your mind will go blank on you. Some people you will allow to unnerve you. And you wonder, what's wrong with me? I'm not crazy. Shut up. That's why you've got to learn to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to stand up inside yourself. Stand up. Working on yourself, watching that inner dialogue, it will determine the quality of your life. Work on yourself. I don't believe this. I know this. Work on yourself. I've had a challenge of losing weight. I'm walking through the airport, this voice say, why don't you have some M&M peanuts? No! Guess one. Then after you eat that, you might as well have a Snicker now, you sucker. Work on yourself. You got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up! Work on yourself.
What do you come with? What is it that you have within you that you showed up to bring? Let us say together, it's possible. It's possible. Say it like you mean it. Thank you. Write that down. It's possible. You see, most people never achieve their goals because most people suffer from possibility blindness. They look around trying to think about the things that they don't have. Robert Roots, young man who wrote a book about success principles of the Three Little Pigs. He said, it's not what you don't have, it's what you think you need that keeps you from being successful or happy in life. It's not what you don't have. See, I was focused on what I didn't have. Don't have a college degree. Don't have any credentials. Never worked for a major corporation. I was focused on the negative things. Negative things are the things that you see when you're not focused on your goal. What do you come with? What is it that you have within you that you showed up to bring? Hey, Les, you don't know, but my dream is a long shot. A friend of mine, Dexter Yeager, said when the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. It's possible. What do you come with? What is it that you have within you? You see, most people never achieve their goals because most people suffer from possibility blindness. They look around trying to think about the things that they don't have. What do you come with? What is it? What is it? What is it that you have within you? It's not what you don't have, it's what you think you need that keeps you from being successful or happy in life. What do you come with? What is it that you have within you? Live your dream. I refuse to die an unlived life. I'm reminded of a great man. And I was reading Time magazine talking about some of the great minds of the last century. They didn't mention his name, Dr. Howard Thurman, one of the mentors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., also an advisor to Mahatma Gandhi and Albert Schweitzer. And he said, the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members standing around their bed praying with them as they cross over. But imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the dreams given to you by life, the ideas that you never acted on, the talents, the gifts, the abilities that you never used. And there they are, standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever. The question is, if you died this very moment, what will die with you? What dream? What ideas? What talent? What leadership potential? What greatness that you showed up to bring? That you allowed fear or procrastination to hold you back. Perhaps that's why Henry David Thoreau wrote the words, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived. Only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. Repeat after me, please, with power, feeling, and conviction. I refuse to die an unlived life. Yes, shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, live your dream. Live your dream. I think we should all resolve. I refuse to die an unlived life. Don't worry about the odds. Don't worry about You survived 1 out of 40 million sperms. You will never have those odds again. You beat those odds, you can win anything. Live your dream. Refuse to die an unlived life. You can win anything. Live your dream. Live your dream. Live your dream. You can win anything. Live your dream. Live your dream. How many of you know that if you had your life to live over again, you could do more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. You could do more than what you've done thus far. What what we do and what we accomplish in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. You can do more than what you've done thus far. So I want you to think about some goals that you'd like to achieve, and I'd like for you to, let's say, break them up in 3 categories. Number 1, I want you to think about some personal goal you'd like to achieve. And I'd like for you to think about...
Yes, greetings to Ones on Ones. We listen to the great man Les Brown. As you know that I'm a Les Brown fan, and you know Les Brown is a powerful motivational speaker. See, so anyway, I want to big up to Sister Dawn. Big up your status every single time, and she'll be phoning in very shortly. Also, we do have Classic Class gonna join in as well, phone in. And also we're going to have Amanette will be join us as well. See, so they want reason with us, and the theme is about emotions and looking at everything about mental health. And as I said earlier on, that one of the things our drive is to look at everything about emotions. We should be in control of our emotions. See. And as Kinsu was saying earlier on, when you see individuals get in a rage and lose their temper, just lose their cool and go on mud, and don't get me wrong, now and then, you know, you have to let off still upon people, but all of a sudden you're reading somebody, you just want to fight, and you know, where will that stuff rage come from? See? And that's why as Kinsu, you need to check yourself. And kids will do a lot of work on himself. See? And I know that individuals like Dawn's done a lot of work in this particular area, personal development, and NLP. She'll probably break that down a little bit later with us. And also Eclectic Cloud done a lot of work in personal development, astrology, here probably reason give a perspective for your thing about mental health, and also Amanette, see, who's done a lot of work, and she's having an event, Focus Man Sister Circle, and she'll be sharing that information with us and touching thing about emotion and mental health and well-being, see. So as I said, we do have an event on the 8th of June. That's taking place at the West Indian Cultural Centre. And time is from 3 to 8. And just give a little background. I haven't got the flyer in front of me, but just give a little background that there'll be workshops. Dr. Kings will be in a workshop, everything about letting go and the relationship with your parents. We do have Lyndon, we'll be talking about the words we use, and look at everything about the power of the mind. I do have Melvin be talking about everything about clarity, the power of clarity. And then we have Peter will be speaking in the main hall and talk about his experience, his journey, thing with mental health. We have Ben who will be talking about mental health in terms of he does a lot of things called I think it's called talking therapy. So it's like a therapist, that's it. So he'll be talking about all thing about mental health, and there's quite a few individuals there will be speaking concerning around mental health. This is called Trees. I'll be talking about going back to nature. See, so yeah, we have a series people speaking. We have a panel where people can ask questions with healthcare professionals, and be quite a few healthcare professionals will be there, so people can ask questions. And we're looking at solutions. Well, I mean solutions, but there are people there who are able to answer certain questions to do with everything about mental health. So people can have a one-to-one conversation, and we were looking at the way forward. See, I don't believe that one person has the solution, but I do believe that collectively we can come with some kind of solution. See, so that's where we at, and this is gonna take place on the 8th, as I said, of June, at the West Indian Culture Center, that's in Turnpike Lane. So over the next few days, I will get some more information. So if you want more information about the event, please contact me on 0788-240-3871. Okay, then we have a beautiful sister on the line. Let me see now. Greetings.
Hello.
Greetings. How you been?
I'm good, thank you.
You sound very clear on the phone.
Yeah, it's not echoing this time.
Yeah.
I know. I said I've talked too soon. It's just
Yeah. So how you been? This is Dawn on the lineup. I just mentioned your name. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that you do a lot of work around personal development, and this said that you'll be joining us in terms of talking about the whole thing about emotions, and because you do a lot of work in that particular area, and also using the tools, NLP. Yeah, but I want to go straight to the chase. Right, and the question will be now. Well, there's two fundamental questions I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you all thing about NLP, but how do you work with people? There's two questions: difficult people and people who have mental health challenges. Which were, to be quite clear, people going through emotionally, they're just broken down, and how do you work? Yeah.
all right. When you talk about difficult people, that in itself is a non-linguistic term that you're not supposed to use.
Okay then.
You will say, okay, they're less easy to work with
Okay
than
then, fair
others,
enough.
that rather than say difficult. And and straight away, just by me saying that, it kind of softens the tone of it. So
Right.
even if you're going to approach someone, they're difficult, and you soften it by saying they're less easier than other people.
Right.
Okay. Your approach is completely different.
Right.
And I don't think anyone's difficult, because at the end of the day, we're all different. There's not one of us here that's a duplicate of each other. So, you just have to take each person as an individual and
Yeah.
understand their needs and their reasons for being how they are. You don't even have to understand that. Whatever they perceive as their model of the world, it's entirely up to them.
So let me just recap what you're saying. Really, that not everybody's difficult. It's how they see the world, the model of the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could walk around and say I am the richest person on this planet, and all I've got to my name is a pair of shoes and the clothes I'm standing in. But to me, I'm the richest person on this planet. Somebody else might look at me and say she's raving mad. But am I mad because I've said that? That's my model of the world. That's what I perceive as me being. So, it's down to every individual. We learn to accept that instead of putting each other into boxes and categorizing each other. Then it makes a big difference to how we actually deal with each other.
Okay. Then. Let me say that, and I do take on board that it's the words we use as well. Because if you say you're difficult, you've already told yourself that you are a difficult person,
Yeah.
So it's how the words you use, The question would be then, how do you deal with people? I use well can be challenging, in terms of mental. Well, all right, put it this way: someone's in a depression state. They've been
See,
depressed.
you're labeling them again.
No. I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to. Because people are listening right now, and I'm trying to. What I'm trying to achieve here is the tools because you do a lot of work with NLP. So, so for example, someone who's in a state, right?
Okay.
Right, in a state for the last 6 months, right? And people listening might saying, just describe it more like a depressing state, yeah? How would NLP, the tools you use to get them out of that state, I just want to have so people listening, I just want to know How can that work? Yeah.
For starters, NLP is a set of techniques that can help people to become more effective in communicating better with each other.
Right.
You can also you can use it to like demonstrate different ways of communicating, like linguistically, how your mind operates. You can perceive or just utilize different you say states, but it gives you thoughts, your actions, everything just rolls into one and encompasses as one set of tools which we've all got, and it's just based around your five senses.
Right. So all right, I think it might be wise to mention what is NLP, because people might be hearing that word for the very first time and not really know what the heck Dougie I taught about using the word NLP. What's that about? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think it'd be wise to, and I should have really mentioned what is NLP first, really. Yeah.
Okay, so NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and it stands for neuro, which is how your mind works and how you're going to make things better communicate with, using your thought patterns. Linguistic is the words we use and what we talk, the words that come out of our mouth and what we say. And programming is usually what we've been taught and our behaviour that we've picked up from early childhood from our parents. And that's what's programmed into us. And it's about changing the patterns that we've developed to be more, to make you a better person, so to say. It's a real powerful coaching tool.
And how long have you been involved in NLP and been teaching it or working in it? Yeah.
Well, I've been using it in teaching for quite a few years now, over 15 years, but as a qualified therapist, it's only been about 3-4 years now, but it's always been in me. It's something that I've always used. It's just that it didn't have a label to it. And as soon as I jumped on board, everything kind of fitted into place. So it was just almost like second nature to me, because everything began to make sense. And I realised that what I was doing in the first place was what NLP actually was. So it just made more sense then to give a title and a qualification.
Okay then. Right. So the question will be now, how would you describe emotions? Because how do you look at emotions? How do you look at emotions?
Well, emotions is how we interpret what we're feeling, what we see. I use the example of fear. Like you can be frightened of something. Fear doesn't even depict how you feel; it's how you interpret it. So a lot of the emotions that we've got isn't necessarily real. It's how we interpret the feeling that we get because of that emotion.
Okay.
Because of that situation.
Oh.
And when we can learn to change the way we actually think about something, then it's halfway there. You take your whole mindset about it. It's like going to the lottery. It's actually not the lottery. You go, I don't know why I'm never lucky. So lucky. I'm gonna win this time. It's just thinking about things in a more positive light, rather than negative.
Yeah. Okay then, and question would be now, if people want to know more information about you or the kind of work you do, how can people contact you?
Well, I'm based in the Jewish quarters in Birmingham, so I know that you're a London station, you've got lots of viewers, so if they wanted to phone me directly, they could do that on 07473 479 473, or you can jump onto my website and leave me a message, and that's www.nirvanafountain.com.
Right.
And there's a lot there's a lot to do, to read about, and get a better understanding of different areas that we actually work from. And, just ask any questions that you like. Just drop us a message if you've got issues. Just drop the message and I'll respond. Whichever way suits people best. The first consultation is entirely free, so it feels like you're being charged or anything like that. It's completely free.
Okay then. All right then. Well, listen, my sister. First, I want to give thanks for you to join us on the line. And again, you've got a wealth of information and knowledge, and we'll definitely be speaking to you over the several weeks. Because one thing we're looking to do is, educate our people and inform people of the whole thing about mental health, the whole thing about emotion, the whole thing about stigma again around mental health. And there's certain tools you can use. I mean, as you know, meditation is a very powerful tool. Breathing, talking, just talking it out, letting off. There's so much. Going to nature. There's so much.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make here, there's tools we can use. You know what I mean?
Just literally change your mindset.
That's right.
If you've normally been doing something one way and it hasn't been working for you so far, do it another way. It's not working and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So just change your mindset. Just change it different.
Yeah. Okay then. Well, my sister,
All right.
again, give thanks. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was
Right.
bye. Okay then. Our beautiful sister just touching down with us. And again, she's got a wealth of knowledge, wealth of knowledge. And these are one of the people. See, which one of the things we try to achieve, it might take a bit of time, a bit of work as well. That we want to get as many as our health practitioners, because this is from Birmingham, and I think there's a few of them. Probably in Birmingham and Manchester and all that, and see how we come together and just network and share information among each other. See? Yeah. So it really is a blessing. We have a sister from Birmingham able to share some insight, and as I said, she's done a lot of work around NLP, and it's very important that people get familiar, understand what NLP is all about. See? Okay then, so you're locked into the Bless Show. See? And very short we're gonna have Sister Aminette be phoning in. Also Clatic Clyde will be reading us. I'm playing this recording and it's about negative people. So I want people to listen to this thing here.
6 warning signs you're dealing with someone toxic. We'd all like to believe the best of people. Unfortunately, that can get us in trouble sometimes. Toxic people do exist, and chances are we've met one or two. Sometimes they might not realize they're causing harm to others. On other occasions, they're fully aware of the power they hold over other people and actively intend to do harm. Fortunately, there are warning signs you can look for to see if the person you're dealing with is a toxic person. Before we tell you about these important warning signs, make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to watch our videos. Now pay close attention to all these warning signs of toxic people, as this information could be exactly what you need in your life right now. Number 1. Toxic people play the victim. Most of us are guilty of throwing a pity party for ourselves every once in a while. Things happen, and sometimes we just want to feel sad about it. But sooner or later we snap out of it, focus on finding solutions, and look on the bright side of life. Other people are in a constant state of pity party. Have you met them? You probably know or have known a person who thought the world was out to get them. People who struggle with the victim mentality don't think they have power over their lives, and they blame other people and circumstances for how unhappy they are. They also avoid responsibility like the plague. Imagine that you're walking down the street and you see a man take a tumble. You rush to help him stand up, and you notice that, luckily, he just has a small scrape on his knee. He thanks you and asks you if you can drive him to the pharmacy. So you take him to the pharmacy. He then asks you to help him with another chore, and then another. This is an example of how playing the victim can give someone the power to control another person. They prey on your feelings of empathy and goodwill to see how much money, time, and energy they can take from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you believed someone owed you an apology, but by the end of the conversation, you ended up apologizing instead? That is a classic victim attitude in which they flip the situation. Ask yourself these questions. Do you try to uplift someone while all they can do is put themselves down? Do you try to offer constructive criticism but the person acts defensively? Do you get blamed for someone else's problems? If the answer is yes, you might be dealing with someone with a victim mentality. Number 2. Emotional abuse. Emotional abuse can be one of the most painful forms of violence and a killer of self-esteem. It creates scars that can last longer than physical ones, and it's difficult to spot. It can leave you with depression, confusion, a lack of motivation, self-blame, and low self-esteem. You might be a victim of emotional abuse or abusing someone you love without meaning to. Emotional abuse can be verbal, yelling, belittling, criticism, and accusing. It can also be subtle, intimidation, manipulation, and the silent treatment. Ask yourself these questions to spot if you're in an emotionally abusive situation. Do you find yourself walking on eggshells around someone? Does it seem as if this person treats you like a child? Does this person routinely ridicule and disregard your opinions, thoughts, and feelings? Does this person make you feel responsible for all the problems in your relationship? If you answered yes, you might be the victim of emotional abuse. If possible, you need to distance yourself from this person. Number 3. Pathological liars. No one is perfect when it comes to lying. We might tell small lies or lie by omission. Pathological liars take lying to the extreme. A pathological liar is someone who constantly tells lies, usually in an effort to protect their image. They are masters of manipulation and can lie straight to your face. They tend to be impulsive people with a need to impress. Their lies might not always have a purpose, and sometimes they might lie to you just because they can. Dealing with the pathological liar can leave you feeling confused, betrayed, and paranoid. It might even make you question your sanity. Sometimes pathological lying can be a symptom of more serious problems, like borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and depression. These disorders require professional medical help and can be dangerous when left unaddressed. Do you know a pathological liar? Ask yourself these questions. Have you caught someone lying several times? Does someone constantly lie to you about small and mundane things? Has someone that lied to you expressed zero remorse? Number 4. Toxic people seek to control. Some toxic people can be master manipulators, and they are clever about hiding their true intentions. Controlling people might want to know where you are and who you are with. They might be vocal about it or try to control you in more subtle ways. In extreme cases, if the person is a narcissist or sociopath, they might be completely incapable of feeling remorse and recognizing their bad behavior. They might have learned such behavior through an unconscious drive called the repetition compulsion. It is a psychological drive to repeat and enact the same traumatic events that you experienced as a child. To a certain extent, the repetition compulsion explains why, if one or both of your parents were controlling you, you'll try to enforce control over your partner or children. Ask yourself the following questions to see if you are dealing with a controlling person. Does someone need to know where you are at all times? Does someone micromanage your work? Does someone pull you away from your loved ones to keep you all to themselves? Number 5. People who don't respect boundaries. Imagine that you draw a line on the floor and ask a person not to cross it. However, instead of respecting your wishes, they cross your boundary just to see if they can, to test you, or to actually cause you harm. To properly function as civil members of society,
Okay then, the live link number is 079 444 31 366. So if people want to join us, feel free to join us for discussion. We do have Sister Aminette's going to join us very shortly. I was playing a recording of people talking about negative people. I think we've got Sister Aminette on the line here. Greetings.
Greetings, Douglas.
How you been? You good?
Yeah, it's all good. Give thanks for the breath of life and the power of thought.
All right then. Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. Okay then. So, what do you want to bring to the table? Because you've done a lot of work around personal development. Yeah, and you're all thinking about emotions. I know you're a wellness coach. You've done a lot of work with Queen of Four as well, and it'd be good. And Dr. Finch as well. You know, you was over here a few years ago. Who you brought over? So, you know, you've got a string of CV put together. You know, and we don't have time to really go into that right now because we'll be in front of a half an hour on this scratching the surface to kind of in-depth work here, dude. And that's why we need people like yourself to be on the line and to share. But there's two things. Because when you talk about the sister circle, but most of all, I wanted to touch on the whole thing about mental health and the whole thing about emotions. You know, and as a wellness coach, you know, we hold on to a lot of stuff, right? Never to let go, and with that, now it kind of manifests itself in different kind of forms, and it, in fact, bad health in terms of cancer and whatever. But how do you look at the other thing about emotions and mental health, and you know, just want like get your spin on that.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. So, I guess I have a phrase which encourages one to travel light. I mean that you should not necessarily take on the negative behavior, emotions of others.
Right.
Yes, so that's what I mean by travel light. Because if you incorporate the negative feelings and behaviors of others, then it's actually a big drain on your energy and it weighs you down. So that's what the phrase relates to when I say that you should travel light.
Right. And we talk about taking on the energy. I mean, how would one get rid of that kind of negative energy, so to speak?
Okay. Yes. So I don't actually hate anyone or anything. Hate is an emotion that's destructive. And there are things that I don't like, and there are many kinds of injustices that are going on in the world, and even in my life and in the lives of my family, friends, colleagues, and acquaintances. And so, if your focus is on hating something, then you're not actually finding a solution to that thing.
Yeah.
You're indulging in the negative cycle which perpetuates and just weighs you down, and then you're not traveling light, and then you're not able to elevate, and you're not able to go into your crown chakra, as it were. You're not able to think clearly. So the idea is to recognize when ones are behaving badly towards you, whether they're saying something or doing something or just sending the negative vibes, because let's face it, we're spiritual beings.
Yeah,
So
okay.
ones don't even have to say anything to be negative. They can just send poison arrows. So it's very important to center yourself with whatever spiritual practice you follow, and you wouldn't just wait till there is a gathering. You would do that spiritual practice daily, and
Okay.
that
So, all right.
fortifies
So,
you.
let me just throw it in a different way. So for example, if someone's going through some serious challenge, like for example, they're in a state of um I use the word depression, right? Right. They're in a depressed state, and it could be that they've lost their loved one, their mum, or whatever the case may be, right? And they're in that state for for 6 months and onwards, right? How would you, as a wellness coach, be able to get them out of that kind of state? It's a bit of a vague question still, but people are listening. I just want to have a clear picture. How would again you will get them out of that state there?
Okay, so I am going to refer back to the practice where you do rituals daily,
Oh, right.
because you know it's very important,
Yeah.
because well, life is a cycle,
Mhm.
and this culture doesn't actually deal with death very well. And we shouldn't be shocked when somebody returns to the ancestors, because it's inevitable.
All
In
right.
fact, it's our one promise.
Mm.
Everything else may or may not happen, but death is our one promise. We will return to the ancestors
Right.
sooner or later. We will.
Yeah.
And so when you're following a spiritual practice, that is automatically incorporated into the rituals that you do here on earth, preparing yourself to join the ancestors.
Mm.
So you do as much good as you can here, because you will return to the ancestors.
Yes. Yes.
And in fact, the ones that do return to the ancestors, they're in no more pain. So you're left behind, because we're human,
Mhm.
and we have the emotional pain
Mm.
of losing that person that we won't be able to see physically
Mm.
or speak to directly on the phone. And in fact, that's when your spiritual practice becomes even more important, because you then call on them for help.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
And well, with all the challenges that are going on in terms of the depletion of the environment, deforestation, we've just had Earth Day with the ones protesting about protecting the planet, which is a very important sentiment to have. If we don't have the trees, we won't be able to breathe,
That's
basically.
true. Very true.
It's as
Very
simple
true.
as that. So the environment is being depleted. Our food is Frankenstein food.
Yes.
We're eating grapes without any seeds.
Yeah.
In fact, ones would even opt for those with no seeds.
Yeah.
If the grapes are growing with no seeds, where do they come from?
Yeah.
And so the food that we eat, the air that we breathe
Mm.
is depleted. And so I'm saying that to make ones aware that many more are going to join the ancestors sooner rather than later. And that's happened,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
happened to my family and my friends, colleagues, and acquaintances.
Mm.
Young people, they call it premature death. Premature death is between approximately age 15 to 65. So that's the prime working life. So again, they're relating it back to economics.
Mm.
It's called premature death if you die during this point in your life, because as I said initially, we're all going to return to the ancestors anyway.
Mhm.
But there are more incidents of premature deaths, and in fact, the World Health Organization have reported for several years in a row that the number one killer of premature deaths is actually cardiovascular diseases linked to stress.
Yeah, stress. Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
idea of relaxing and being in tune with yourself and conceptualizing some idea of a spiritual practice that you will do daily. You will do these rituals daily and acknowledge that you're a spiritual being having a physical experience, and to be and stay woke about whatever else is going on. You don't bury your head in the sand. That one won't work. But you must be relaxed. And that again comes back round to the idea of traveling light.
Yeah. Okay then. I want to give some information about the sister circle and how that come about.
Okay, so I've been in several sister circles for a number of years, either ones that I've joined with colleagues, acquaintances, family members, and then I went through the Rites of Passage program with Queen Afua, and part of that was actually taking a group through ourselves. It was a group of us here. We were the first group in the UK to go through the sister circle that was developed by Queen Afua, going through her gateways.
Can you turn up your phone?
Looking at using the 0 to 9 gateways and doing presentations and incorporating other sisters into the sister circle. So that started in 2010 and I've been doing it since. And if ones want to go and look at the website Nubian Heritage Me, Nubian Heritage Me, then they can see what's been going on and listen to some testimonials and join us on the next Sister Circle experience, which is coming up in July. There are 10 places left and 5 days to the end of the early bird participation. All the information about the fee and what it will include will be on the website nubianheritageme.wordpress.com. And it's a 1-day countryside retreat. It's for women only. It's all inclusive, including refreshments throughout the day, 2-course vegan meal, presentations from an African yoga practitioner and a naturopath health doctor, and looking again at lessons in soul survival, which is what I'll be delivering.
Okay then. So is a 1 day? Is it a 1 day?
It's a 1-day gathering.
Okay.
And retreat in the countryside. We'll be by a lake, and we'll be in a forest, and we'll be sitting in a circle and acknowledging each other as women of African heritage.
Okay then. That's quite powerful. That sounds very powerful.
As I said, there's only 10 places left.
Okay then.
So the website again, it's a WordPress blog that they have to go on to, and they'll get more information there. And so that's Nubian Heritage Me.wordpress.com.
Okay. All right then. Okay. All right then, my sister. Well, first I want to give thanks for you at your busy schedule to join us and to share some information. And one of the things we're looking to do probably next year is get as many health practitioners come together, and it's more of a networking event, and just networking and sharing information among each health practitioners and individuals, because I think the time is now we need it, and especially when we talk about the whole thing about mental health and well-being and etc. We just come together, break a bread and so forth, and just chill with each other, network and so forth. See, because in my circle, I meet so many people doing some great things. Just literally bump into people, and it's nice we can come together under one roof and just chill. You know what I mean?
Well, I'd like to congratulate you as well, Douglas. You're very committed to the community, and I give thanks for the work that you continue to do to bring us into our wise mind, to invest in our health and well-being. So I give thanks to you for inviting over the health practitioners that you invite over, and for the events that you facilitate. You facilitated several of the Blue Water family gatherings.
Yeah.
And you're now doing your own, and they're live, I imagine.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to go live now with some of the events we're doing now. So at least the word is spreading out, and because sometimes people can't, for every reason, can't come to the event, but there's no reason why you can't see it live now. And but most of all, like get people's feedback as well, so we can continue improving and tweak here and there and reach to a certain standard.
Yeah, you're doing very well. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, and I'm proud of you, my sister.
Give thanks.
Give thanks. All right then. So listen, give thanks, and we'll be speaking probably tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes, give thanks, Douglas. Perfect love.
Perfect love. Okay then. All right. Beautiful sister Aminette just joins on the line there, and she's a queen warrior, as I would say, a gentle queen warrior. And don't forget, she's worked under Queen Afua, and she's worked with so many powerful health practitioners, and as I said, that she's having an event coming up very soon, so we encourage people to check out the website. It's only 10 places left, so people can fully get involved. Okay then, so again, the John Master Show, and we do have Clatic Clyde will be phoning in very shortly as well. See, Clatic Clyde again, him don't miss about. In fact, first time I heard Clatic Clyde spoke when Aminette had him on her event, where I think I hosted, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah? Oh. I think that's the first time I think I heard him spoke, Him and, I've heard Israel spoke.
Yeah, they both did a presentation that day.
Yeah.
Galactic Clyde erected his pyramid. Do you remember? And we all
Yeah. But something, he be
sacred geometry.
Yeah, but he'll be phoning in very shortly. And the more I listen to him, the more I'm fascinated by him.
He is very good.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated by what he knows, Because I thought he's the ordinary man, just see what does he know? And then him give a talk at your event, 20 minutes and thing. But it's only when he phoned on the radio a couple of times, and I asked him certain questions about, I don't think about dreams and what's the meaning of dreams, and he broke all that down to me, the whole thing about numbers, certain herbs you take, I said, this man, but again,
he's a holistic practitioner.
That's why, that's what I get to realize, what I mean?
A wellness advocate and a holistic practitioner.
I didn't know him like that still, and he's very humble. Very, very humble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Family man and a family man.
Yeah, he's a family man as well, because he's like, I just spoke to him earlier on, and he said he's going to rush home now, and he's going to deal with the family quickly, because, he's a family man, and he's going to phone in upon us,
and the labyrinth, of course, he draws the labyrinth for us to walk.
Oh, right. So that's... Where, in Hackney there?
Yes, he's drawn a labyrinth in one of the parks. We walked on it a couple of years ago on Mother's Day, in fact.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Go heal him up for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna heal him up. All right then, my sister. So give thanks, yeah?
Perfect love, Douglas.
Perfect love. All right then. Okay then. That was a beautiful sister on the line there. You know, she was listening to us still because I was talking about Clatty Clyde. So Clatty Clyde, you know, wait for you to phone in on us. So and yeah. And today's show is about emotion and mental health. See? Alright then. So what I'm gonna do is play. You know, so we do some serious conscious music. It's nice when we just play a little music, people food jar themselves. Yes. Again, you're looking to the big one, the Jam Master Show.
They can't keep a good man down.
You can't keep a good man down. You can't keep a good woman down.
I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a draw first. But I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. When they come with their evil thoughts, I just listen whenever they talk. That is the light into my dark. He cut and clear all my path. They fight me without a cause, trying to make my life so hard. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, give it all reward. I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. Not down to mix me up in your dirty game. You're only trying to tarnish my name. You're only looking for the innocent to blame. When you're the ones who wish the guns down the lane. You only cause it and the pain. But the righteous believes in the rain. Love is all I got to give and I'm not to shine. Looking for the future, the sky I can't tame. Cause I'm so solid as a rock and they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. So they can't keep a good man down. Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Who Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a draw first. Solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Tell you about black man supremacy. I stand Rastafari. Oi, oi, Selassie I will take. Ayo, hey, these are the trumpets calling to make the sound. Hey, watch over us. Emperor Selassie, hide them your roads, rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make blessing. The rocks on the chops, leaving devil snares laying. And then wish for all who them hate to be falling. Yet in them face the witness die uprising. Feeling high, making it onto my way. No apology, fire on them every day. Conspiracy leads the game you play. Now the fall on the knees without my say. Guide over us, Holy Emmanuel, I eat this a road, rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them you're gnashing up teeth. You guide over us, Emperor Selassie, Isis and knees could never get weak. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them you're gnashing up teeth. Them for know I'm from the mountain and the valleys. Jah tell me so I run both river banks. Within life you've got the valleys, yeah. Here is the Rasta youth voice giving thanks. Hey, Jah give my man health and strength. Working for you makes no sense. You could never put a dime in my pocket. King Selassie on the front line, so watch this. Guide over us, Emperor Selassie, I dem your road, rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make it home, even through them you're gnashing up teeth. Hey, guide over us, Holy Emmanuel, I roads too rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make it home, through them you're gnashing up teeth. Them high statistics and economics have them going so kinky. Me draw from me Rasta man song, me bing the drum, me calabash chalice and Babylon so me crazy, giving praises. Now ya bingy ISIS, our business. Me no join them slavery, judge and them burn them bridge, spiting me big. Well you don't know I swim across to my victory. Judge a guide over us, Emperor Selassie high. Them a roads rugged and steep. I know it is a must for us to make it home. Through them you're gnashing up teeth. I tell you go and protect us, Holy Emmanuel, knees could never get weak. I know it is a must, for us to make it home. Through them you're gnashing up teeth. On seat, these are those who constantly they have been placing the rocks and the traps, leaving them snares laying. And then wish we heart through them hate be falling. Yet in them face the witness die uprising. Feeling high, making it onto my way. No apology, fire burn, high society. Every day, conspiracy leads the game they play. Now they fall on their knees without my say. Rude boy, live up and make good use of your time. Remember now, so this a crucial time. Not because you're coming from the ghetto. You gon' make a difference, make it better. Young girl, live up and make good use of yourself. Go to school and don't you prostitute yourself. Not because you're coming from the ghetto. You gon' make a difference, make it better. Rude boy, live up and make good use of your time. Remember now, so this a crucial time. Not because you're coming from the ghetto. You gon' make a difference, make it better. Young girl, live up and make good use of yourself. Go to school and don't you prostitute yourself. Not because you're coming from the ghetto. You gon' make a difference, make it better. Unemployment bring the stifling. No expression of talent brings the idling. Tell them every time life is a cycle and I love alone, I got sweet no rival and black and proud and you're blessed. Say it's allowed, it's progress. Educate the crowd, no can't test. Most like King Selassie, I guide your steps. Youth man, live up and make good use of your time. Remember now, say this a crucial time. Not because me coming from the ghetto. I gon' make a difference, make it better. Young girls, live up and make good use of yourself. Don't go to school and don't you prostitute yourself. Not because she coming from the ghetto. She can make a difference, make it better. Youth man, live up and make good use of your time. Oh, it's a crucial time.
I told Mr. Washington I wanted to become a disc jockey. Someone asked me to tell this story. And he said, Les Brown, He said, if you want to do anything worthwhile in life, you've got to be hungry. And so I started working to develop myself. He said, I want you to practice every day being a disc jockey. I said, but I don't have any job now. He said, it doesn't matter. He said that it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So every day I was working to develop myself. And that's what you must do. And as I was working to develop myself, I applied for a job as a disc jockey, WMBM on Miami Beach. I went to a guy named Milton Butterball. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? I'd like to get a job as a disc jockey. He looked at me, he said, do you have any broadcast background? I said, no, sir, I don't. Do you have any journalism background? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, we don't have any jobs available. I said, yes, sir. I went back to Mr. Washington and I told him. He said, don't take it personally. He said, most people are so negative, they will have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, go back again. So I went back again. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? My name is Les Brown. He said, I know what your name is. What
Hi, Douglas.
Yeah, greetings. Yes?
Greetings. I'm not online, am I?
Yeah, you're online, you know.
Oh, you're not easy. I just sent you the link to the website.
Okay.
Yes, so that was it, really.
All right.
I've sent you the link.
Oh, you sent me the link. Okay, no problem.
Yes, so read it out again for me.
All right, sit on the other phone, yeah? You sit on the phone.
Yes, is Clyde on there? Because I'm listening live and I can't hear him yet.
No, Clyde's not on. Clyde's not on yet.
Okay.
Okay, so then the website.
Can you see it?
I'm trying to look for it now. Nubian. Is it Nubian? What's it called?
Heritage.
Yeah, Nubian Heritage Me.
WordPress.
Okay. Nubian.
.wordpress.com.
Heritage WordPress.com, yeah?
Nubian Heritage Me.
Oh, sorry. Nubian Heritage Me WordPress.com.
Yes, so it's .wordpress.com.
Okay, I've got that, yeah.
Nubian Heritage Me .wordpress.com.
Okay, fantastic. All right then.
Okay, give thanks.
Give thanks. All right then, no problem.
Okay then, perfect love.
Perfect love. Okay then. All right. Okay. So it's Nubian Heritage Me. Oops. WordPress.com. So you get more information on the website. Okay then, let me just.
Drag rock. I'd have gone to get him some more if he'd asked me to. Pretty soon the phone rang and it was the general manager. And I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, Les, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, now he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all turn up the radio and come out on the front porch. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes. And I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, do you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get behind those controls. I put on an old Stevie Wonder record called Fingertips. I sat down behind that turntable. I said, look out, this is me, LB Triple P. Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. All right. I told Mr. Washington I wanted to become a disc jockey. Someone asked me to tell this story. And he said, Les Brown, he said, if you want to do anything worthwhile in life, you've got to be hungry. And so I started working to develop myself. He said, I want you to practice every day being a disc jockey. I said, but I don't have any job now. He said, it doesn't matter. He said that it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So every day I was working to develop myself. And that's what you must do. And as I was working to develop myself, I applied for a job as a disc jockey, WMBM on Miami Beach. I went to a guy named Milton Butterball. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? I'd like to get a job as a disc jockey. He looked at me, he said, you have any broadcast background? I said, no, sir, I don't. You have any journalism background? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, we don't have any jobs available. I said, yes, sir. I went back to Mr. Washington and I told him. He said, don't take it personally. He said, most people are so negative, they will have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, go back again. So I went back again. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? My name is Les Brown. He said, I know what your name is. What do you want? I said, I'd like to know whether or not you have any jobs at disc jockey, sir. He said, didn't I just tell you yesterday we didn't have any jobs? I said, yes, sir, but I know whether or not somebody got laid off or somebody was fired, sir. He said, no one was laid off or fired. Now get on out of here. I came back the next day. Hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you? He said, fine, what do you want now? I said, I'd like to know whether or not you got any jobs, sir. Didn't I tell you the last 2 days we didn't have any jobs? I said, yes, sir, but I don't know whether or not somebody got sick or somebody died, sir. He said, no one got sick or died. Now don't come back here and throw me out again. I came back the next day like I was seeing him for the first time. I said, hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you? He looked at me with rage. He said, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. And I went to get him some coffee. After a while, I would get their lunch and dinner, and I would go in the control rooms and take the disc jockeys their food, and I would not leave until they would ask me to leave. Then they started trusting me to pick up entertainers that came to town. Entertainers like the Four Tops and the Temptations and Diana Ross and the Supremes. I would drive them all over Miami Beach in the disc jockeys' big long Cadillacs. I didn't have any driver's license, but I was driving like I had some. And one day, one Saturday afternoon, while I was at the radio station, a guy named Rock was drinking while he was on the air. I was the only one there, looking at him through the control room windows, walking back and forth, young, ready, and hungry. I was saying, drink, Rock, drink. Drink, Rock. I'd have gone to get him some more if he'd asked me to. Pretty soon the phone rang, and it was a general manager. And I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, Les, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, now he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all turn up the radio and come out on the front porch. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, do you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get behind those controls. I put on an old Stevie Wonder record called Fingertips. I sat down behind that turntable. I said, look out, this is me, LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only, young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. I was hungry. You got to be hungry.
Oh, na, na. Yeah, na, 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 yes. Yeah. In the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, and they'll do anything to fill that gap. Lord, in the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, where they do anything to fill that gap. As generation comes and grows, you got to make preparation while the youths them grow. It's what you reap, it's what you sow. The youths them are the light and the future, so when that's them, you know. If education is the key, now tell me why the big guys are make it so expensive for we. Give them the key or set them free. In the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, where they do anything to fill that gap. Boy, in the streets it's getting hot, and the youths them I get so cold. Searching for food for the pot, where they do anything to fill that gap.
Okay then. Greetings.
Greetings, Dougie. How are you?
Yeah, man. Give thanks. You know.
Yeah. Give thanks. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Clive, I was just saying that looking forward to join us on the line here. Earlier on, we had Sister Aminette who spoke just before you, and we had a Sister Dawn from Birmingham, and she was very good talking about emotions and so forth, and you know it's the words we use as well, you know, and you know we need there's certain practical tools you can use like breathing, exercising, and you know basically come out of that environment you're in, you know, especially talking about mental health and stress and are in that kind of state, and you're probably grieving over a period of time and in that kind of state. So, you know, we touch on things, and Kinsu, you know, went into it, the whole thing of relationship we do with our parents, and how we parent our children as well, and where we some of parent our children based on how our parents relate to us. So we're taking a certain habits and behavior of our parents, and for example, you might say to the child, move from here and get aggressive and all that stuff, because where your parents used to talk to you, and you know, it's just normal for you to, so he was kind of playing with what it is, and he says he's not blaming, right? It's just that we need to be truthful, and stuff, you know. And one thing you said, that we need to work constantly on ourselves and be aware, and it's all about being aware and so forth, you know, and be truthful to yourself, you know.
Yeah. You mean like how we come across to each other?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
very
from,
true.
From family backgrounds and things like that. Yes.
Because one of the things he said that once he become aware of certain things, right, he had to humble himself and apologize to his children, them, you know. Yeah.
See.
Yeah. But that's because of a lot of work he been doing himself, and you get to realize how the parents respond to him as a child. It's funny enough, you were saying that as a child, growing up, that he was, you know, believe it or not, he was a very shy child, you know, and certain ways his parents used to talk to him kind of shut him down a little bit, you know, and so forth. And obviously, when you're young, you're not really aware of certain things, you know, and obviously, and the way he talked to his children, the same thing how his parents talked to him, same way he talked to the children. So, you know, he had to realize certain things, and he had to humble himself and apologize to them and thing, you know. And he said a lot of things, we hold on to a lot of these baggage, and we're not able to let go and forgive and you know, true. And all that stuff. So, you know, he went into it, you know, he really went into some stuff there, you know. So, Clive, again, it's really an honor to have you among us, you know. And again, I want people to know that Clive will be speaking at the event on the 8th of June, and he'll be talking about certain herbs you'll be using in terms of mental health, and also Clive's an astrologist, you know, astrology, and he'll be talking about that as well. So Clive, it'd be good to get your spin on the whole thing about mental health and that stuff there, and you know, what's your spin on all that?
Okay. Yes. I was thinking about it actually. The whole concept when we say mental health.
Yeah.
Most time when we talk about mental health, we're talking about mental sickness and not really mental health.
Right. Yeah.
And so we have to differentiate between the two.
Yes.
Because really mental health is about having a healthy mind and maintaining it.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And, you know, we all come in this world with different issues, let's say.
Yeah.
Because we're coming from, many people don't believe in past life and the other realm and stuff like that. But if we just hold on to this one important aspect of life, that the body is just a house for the real person, the soul, the divine within. And the body is just a clothing or a garment that we take on because we're on this plane of existence, what we call Earth.
Yes.
But many of us are not first time coming to Earth. We've been coming back and forth, and what is called the wheel of life and death, until we graduate or evolve in that sense, so that we can move on to higher or deeper or more meaningful reality. Because there's universe upon universe. People think it's just one universe, you know. One world, you know, and just Earth is the only place where people is, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
But the universe is very much we're just really as far as the ancient teaching, we're just really minute compare, but still we're important, you know. And so we come here because we come here to sort out aspects of our life, to better ourselves in many ways, and to improve, and you know, areas where we have gone wrong in maybe past life and things like that. And sometimes, you know, we there's things that we can learn from others, our elders, or people inside or outside of our culture or society or even the race. It's very important for us to understand that, because certain things that may consider we have passed through and it doesn't seem insignificant, might be significant for somebody else that hold it for over time, that we may be able to grasp later on. And sometimes, you know, like even when we talk about Africa, and you know, a lot of the things that we want to know about Africa, we can learn more from institutions outside of Africa than inside of Africa, which is quite amazing.
Yes.
You know, because what Africa maintains certain secrets because of a kind of system that they have, which is a initiation, or you may say rites of passage, or you may consider worthy before certain things can be told to you. You know, I think there's an African proverb: you can ask an elder to tell you anything. In other words, you can't just ask them to tell you something that they don't want to say. You cannot force them to do that. Because when they see that the time is ripe or whatever, they will tell you.
Yes.
Not like the Western world, everything they put in a book. You know, with an African concept now, you have to go maybe into the hills or into the mountains, or you have to be introduced or some connection to know a certain people with a certain knowledge that can help you with whatever you need help. And that may verse from knowledge like herbology, knowledge in medical, knowledge in, you know, lot of different aspects of life, even dancing.
Right.
You know, because sometimes when people even mention dancing, people may wonder, well, what that have to do with knowledge or mystical aspect. But you know what the ancient teach, that most of the rituals or the secret knowledge was passed down through movement. You know, so dancing was one of the ways they code the information and they pass the ritual down the generation through certain movements.
Okay.
Because just moving the body in certain way also moves certain energies of the higher realm.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Like certain dance movement could help to move the kundalini and raise your higher vibration.
Yes.
You know, so when we talk about mental health, because we're talking about mental health, we're talking about a more healthy development stage in our life. You know, You know, I know there's a phrase that there's a saying that they said in Jamaica that everything good for good for eat, good for talk about, or something of that. There's a saying. That means not everything you know you have to talk about.
It's true.
And we maintain that's a tradition maintained a lot of in the ancient world. Because what it is that we all come in this world with a certain connection. And there is no individual that can help you to connect to your connection that you have, because nobody know exactly what your program is.
Right.
You know, because even if you're supposed to be a martial artist master and you go and learn martial artist, you may not learn exactly what you're supposed to learn, because what you're coded with is what you're coded with. That might help you, expose you to find yourself or areas where you need to develop, but it don't necessarily the area that the person is teaching. So that's why they said that when it come on to teaching and teachers, is that the teacher is supposed to melt away for the student to become of themselves. Not like the Western world is like you're looking up to the teacher all the days of your life and you never become or surpass your teacher. You know, in the real tradition, you're supposed to find your true self within whatever your experience is in life. So if you're learning herbalist, there's something special about herbalism that is you. Not that the herbalist is going to teach you, but you're going to grasp certain things to find your part of yourself that is your knack, that you're connected with. So mental health in that sense is to find your true self. Find who you are, why you're here, and what you're here to, do things. Because it's never the same, just like all of our fingerprints are different, all of our needs are different, all of our way of life or what we're here to do is so different. You know, and the thing about it is not like it's written in our face or written somewhere we can say, oh, that's it, then go to the library and I find why I'm here. No, your purpose might be, you know, you may be laboring for the rest of your life, and at the minute end, maybe 3 days before you pass away, your purpose come to fruition in that sense. You know, and many people may be doing things and it's part of their purpose, but they don't realize.
Okay.
You know? Because it's like the creator playing hide and seek for whatever reason. Because if most of us know that we come to do one particular thing, that's all we're going to do until we're bored of it and want to do something else. So it's a very right diamond in the rock, our purpose. And it's to find that. So, yes. So mental health in a sense is like really, you know, tuning into your, or our, I should say, divine self, finding our true powers, you know, having the power of our mind at a height, meaning that most time we're being brain drained in terms of what we're supposed to know, who we're supposed to be. Like this generation we're in now, in terms of the computerized generation, not enough retaining of memory, you know. You could tell them something 1 minute and next minute they forget. You know, because everything is on the external. Everything is on the hard drive somewhere, not realizing we're also on hard drive. Our brain is on hard drive. We're wired to remember things for, you know, years and years, you know. But the thing about it is that as a society we are dumbed down to not really connected to our higher purpose and more, you know, connection to life in a more holistic way. You know?
Yeah. I want to just jump in there, Clyde, because
yes,
and I'm jumping there because I'm writing on what you just said a minute ago, that we're not connected from a holistic way. And the thing is that one of the things, there's a sister named Teresa. She's been speaking. She hasn't spoken on the radio for the last few weeks, but she was speaking because she does a lot of work around mental health. And one of the things she was saying that we're literally out of sync, so to speak, because we're not really connected with nature at all. We're not. You know, one of the things she does, she works with people with mental health, but what she does, she has a thing called silent walks. So they go into the park where there's a lot of trees and you know, and you take your shoes off and you walk, right? Connect yourself. It depends on the weather, of course, right? You would take your shoes off or whatever, and you touch the trees, touch the leaves, because leaves want to shake, because want to shake our hands and everything, right? You don't do no talking unless it's observation around nature or something you observe, being in that kind of environment, right? And so that it's so powerful, because one of the things that we just not connected to nature, to ourselves, to nature and everything, and and even the food now, I mean, I'm not saying that people go eat raw food, but we're not really. The food we're eating again is taking it out to sink as well. You know what I mean? So
it's lowering our vibratory rate, our mental powers. It's lowering that, and making us subservient, really, and really like toys in terms of the systems that we're in. Because when you think about somebody just going and eating a snack, because McDonald's is like a bread and a little bit of whatever in between the two slices of bread. And that's supposed to sustain you and give you, help you with your higher consciousness and help you to live in a world where it's so polluted. It's crazy, isn't it? Because it's lowering, because we're supposed to be nourishing ourselves every day. To replenish, maybe we work hard during the day, or we have certain assignments, whether mental or physical. And we're supposed to replenish that with our nourishment or the food. And most time we're not. So really we're draining our system. We're emptying ourselves of our true self all the time and not replenishing. And so when you mention certain herbs or food, people like, I never heard of that. Where do you know about that? What's this all about? And it's like, well, there's a lot to it if you're really interested. But then most people, as soon as you start, oh no, what's the next movie? That kind of thing, because of where the mindset is at.
Right. So in terms of herbs, right, what herbs would you recommend in terms of improving one's mental state or their mind? And
when you come on to herbs, we're talking about, there's lots of food that actually on the planet that we can partake that actually the lifespan of man is like 100 years, 120, 130, if we can reach that far, something like that. 140 to the farthest, yes. But you got some plants that can live 4,000 years, and provide some very, very powerful food for us. You got plants that can live 6,000 years, that provides so many things, nourishment for the body. And we don't know these things. There's lots of plants that live longer than the lifespan of man. And we don't realize that that would help us to even, in tune us with the universe or with nature. So when we're talking about foods for mental health, one of the things when you talk about mental health, we're talking about the mind, we're talking about mercury, we're talking about communication and things like that, Your yellow foods are your foods of communication. Yes? And seeds and nuts are also foods of communication. So somebody who very much into their communication and connect with the mind, nuts and yellow foods such as like your jackfruit, you got your durian and things like that are very ackee. All of those stimulates the mind. Those are mental power food.
Okay.
I was just talking today with somebody about driving on the road. When you see those signs for alertness, it's always yellow. When you always see those signs that alert you on the highway or even when driving, warning signs, it's always yellow because yellow stimulates the mind.
Okay. Okay.
So when we think about that, just even within the driving system, when you think about that in nature, all your yellow foods, very, very good. And I'm not even naming, I could name lots of different food, but just to show people how color therapy plays a role in that sense in terms of nutrition.
Right.
And people don't realize this, but this is very, very important. When you're talking about the blood and the blood drive, and people talk, oh, my blood and low blood and all of that, you want to go and you want to look at your red foods. stimulating the blood flow, and good for the blood, or rich with the blood, So these are things that we understand based on the movement of the heavens in connection to the earth, because even the planets have their color that connected, and the plants are planets down here and interconnect with the different organs, which are actually planets in our body. Yeah. So yes, so when we talk about foods to stimulate in the mind, you talk about yellow food, you talk about the sulfur as well, base food as well.
You talk about the sulfur.
Sulfur.
Okay.
Because sometimes the yellow it's more
Yellow,
it's like connect with sulfur as well. Yeah.
Okay then. And these are the food what stimulates the mind.
Stimulates the mind, the intellect, things of that nature.
Okay,
your
then.
yellow foods.
Okay then.
So ackee is a very, very, very strong mental food in that sense. People maybe downplay not realizing ackee and the strong bright yellow, jackfruit bright yellow.
Yeah.
You talk about durian bright yellow. You talk about ginkgo.
Yeah, ginkgo.
You know, ginkgo is 6,000 years that ginkgo can live, and that's yellow. The wood itself is yellow. When you cut the tree down, the wood itself is yellow.
Yeah.
In terms of the color, the seeds are also yellow, in that sense. And ginkgo is really good for the brain and the mind, and stimulating, because most of us were vibrating too low. And that's what we have to understand, because when we're vibrating low, this is where we call the mental ailment, because the brain is not getting the nourishment or the nutrition to keep it stimulating, so that you can actually get into even your psychic centers and your connections. And so people start hearing voices, because the person, certain aspects of themselves is like, well, what's happening here? I'm being treated. And so they start hearing sounds and hearing things, and and then we also have ancestors that we're connected with us that also can speak to us as well.
Yes.
When we start hearing that, we're like, well, what's going on? Because we're not taught that we can have such communication with ancestral force, spirit guides, angels, people from other dimensions and other realms. Most time when we hear about that, it's talk about the negative, the demonic stuff. But just like you have the negative, which is the demonic stuff that people talk about, you also have your positive.
The positive, yeah.
And so the positive things will, forces would always guide us, many times, especially a pregnant woman may be going to certain, and they get certain warning, or don't touch this food, or you should eat this food, because you have other entities and energies that are much more advanced than us, that can speak to us. They can dream us, or they can talk to us just like that, and said, well, I got a dream I should take this, or I got a dream I should take that, or I should avoid this.
But son, it's quite interesting, because today I met a sister, we were just talking, and I was telling about a friend of ours where his son passed, because she wasn't aware, and she goes to me, Dougie, I had a strong cause I kept thinking, a strong feeling thinking about him, and she knew that something was up. She just knew something was up, and as I was speaking to her, a little tears would come to her eyes, and she felt a pain in her stomach, right? Because she said that she's been thinking about him, and she felt a pain, and the fact that when I spoke to her, I said, my brother, his son just passed by, he's a bit, keeping things low. She looked at me, she froze, and so it just shows you that, it's something just talking to you, and
Yes, because we have a wireless system that's been operated before any wireless system was set up on the exterior realm. We have that interior wireless system that we're all interconnected, and most time we're not tuning into that, and this is some of the issues that are happening, because there's people on the planet are working towards lowering that vibratory rate, so that we cannot, or we're not able to connect with that higher aspects of ourselves, where we could be clear audience, where you can actually hear beyond the norms of hearing, or see beyond the norms of sight, or get communication from different levels beyond just what we are familiar with in terms of the 5 sense reality. You know, because every 5 sense, all 5 sense reality that we have also have the spiritual counterpart. But most time, because of our low vibratory rate, we're not really in sync with that spiritual counterpart. But somehow, with that sister, she was feeling the vibe. She was making that connection. You know, and so maybe when you talk that actually bring that full confirmation. Many a times I have think about somebody and I either get a text or a phone call or a connection. But that's something we all have. It's not special to anybody in that sense. It's just that sometimes we or some other people are more in tune with that because of our maintaining of our consciousness in terms of vibratory rate and our dietary system and that connection with the higher forces reality.
Right.
And so when we talk about mental health, it's about being in tune with the what our requirement is in terms of being on the planet. Because being on the planet means that you also have to nourish yourself.
Yes.
Because if we, yes, we can all go to fasting is good, but at the same time we also need to build the temple, maintain the temple. Yes, and if we don't maintain the temple, then that's where we have issues such as mental health.
Right.
And maintaining the temple don't only just mean food and drink, and I must say this, or even herbs. Herbs are very important. Food and drink is important. But also certain thoughts, meditation, exercise, all of these all part of the package of who we are. Because for instance, our body don't have what they call it, our heart system have a pump which makes the flow of blood,
Yes.
But our what they call it, lymphatic system don't have any pump.
System. Yeah, I understand. Lymphatic.
So movement and exercise helps the lymphatic energies to flow.
It's more of a cleanse. It cleans the body, something like that. It cleanses.
Yes, he cleanse and get rid of toxins in the body.
Toxins in the body, yeah.
So it's natural for us to keep on movement. Movement is very important because we just seize up and die. Even if somebody's in the hospital and not able to move, they would turn them around and knead them like how you knead the bread, just to really keep the energy flowing, because if there's no flow, then the body just seizes up and there's no more person in that sense. And so the body, we're created in such a way so that we always have to maintain certain level of movement. So that if we don't, then we come like a pond, we just gather all toxins and nothing is released. And so when we walk, when we exercise, both mental, physically, and spiritually, we also move energies. And so yes, it's important to move energies as physical, on the physical. Even sometimes just even get off one bus stop before your home stop or before your work stop and walk the rest.
Just walk, yeah, definitely. So tell me, son, just quickly, how do you look at your thing of astrology with mental health? Is there a link? I just want to get
Yeah, well, astrology covers all subjects from my understanding of astrology. So everything is on the wheel, the 360 degree wheel. So yes, mental health, as I was saying, it's part of that aspect of astrology. We can look at mental health in connection to the planet Mercury, which rules the mind. That's why I was talking about the yellow foods and Mercury, because Mercury is the communication, it rules the mind. Actually, in the more ancient teachings of astrology and the secrets, they more look at the Mercury more than actually in terms of the development of mental powers, more than you have the people from India looks at the air quality, which they call the chi, as if it's the air quality is more important than the fire quality. There's a difference, but Mercury is also the planet that rules the air, that rules air. Yeah. But there's also Mercury also, but it also can be hot or it also can be cold. It can be wet and it also can be dry. So you also, even within all the elements, you also have 4 elements that is connected with each one of the single 4 elements. You know? So water can be wet, water can be hot, water can be cold. So it can also have its 4 aspects of itself in that sense. You know? So everything is like interlinked. So when we talk about astrology, is that everybody have are born at a particular time on this earth, which gives them the code or the link with the stars. Your birth, your date of birth, links you with the heavens. You know, and so from that, as astrologers, we can look at your reason for being here. We can look at aspects of your mind. We can look at aspects of your past life. We can look at aspects of relationships. We can look at aspects of how your life would flow on this planet. You know, some people are maybe more connected to different schools of thought and areas, and it's all linked with the planetary influence within their life or date of birth, as we call it. You know, and it's just like what I think there's a Chinese saying: the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Because the first step have the seed of the whole 1,000 miles. Because within that first step is also the journey. And within the journey is the first step. Well, it's the same thing with astrology. When you're born, that's like the first step, which have the whole reason for you coming here. Just like your first step going to wherever you're going, have the whole program of what you're going to do and why you're going to do and why you're doing it. You know, the whole, you know, mechanism is within that first understanding or reason for your travel. So in astrology, we look at the first step, which is your birth chart, the reason, the day that you come onto this planet, in that sense, from your mother's womb into creation or into Earth, and that's like the first step, which gets the whole message of why you come and what you plan to do, because you have to be part of the journey. And so the first step tells you the 1,000 mile in that sense. And so with astrology, that's how we look at the aspects of your life or different aspects of the life, and we said, okay, well, we can tell here with what we call your cosmic CV, or we can look and then say, oh, you have good potential in this area or that area based on where the planetary influence were at the given time of your birth.
Okay, but I had a interesting conversation with a couple of men them today, and we was talking about reincarnation, right?
Reincarnation, yes.
Yeah, and one of the things we were saying, we were just flirting around with certain ideas and, you know, philosophize and so forth, right? That your behavior is predicted by you to do in the early days, you know. So for example, that you could trace back some of your behavior, how you should behaving way back. I just want to bring it to the mix. So in terms of astrology, can you, for example, if someone's is a bad man, or not some a bad man, someone who's I don't know who's bad man. I don't use the word mentor because that's different, but someone who's say it's an athlete. Yeah, athlete would be a good example, right? Could you trace that back to their ancestors, that his great ancestors was a great athlete? That's the reason why he's an ancestor, a great athlete today. I just want to bring that into the mix.
Okay, yeah. Yes, you can trace family line, you can trace family history, you can trace family nutrition. Interesting that you brought that up, because I remember when Usain Bolt came on the scene.
Yes.
And people were trying to find out certain things about him. There was something that he said about his mother or the tradition.
Yeah, his mom and his father.
They used to make a drink. I think it's from the cassava.
Okay.
They used to make a certain type of drink. Yeah. And I thought that was very significant, because Usain Bolt is very tall.
Yeah.
and tall people, sometimes they may have issues with calcium level.
Yes.
Yeah, because the body requires more calcium than somebody who's short.
Yes.
Or the bone structure might be bigger and things
Yeah.
of that nature. But when I looked into what he was explaining about the tradition, his family line, and what they were doing in terms of making working with a certain plant that are very rich in calcium. I think this was the yucca. Yucca is used for people who have arthritis and things like that.
Okay.
And he was saying his mother either he make a wine from it or he makes a drink from it.
Mm.
You know?
Mm.
And I thought, oh, here lies some of the secrets of his actually athletic abilities. You know, women overlook certain things like that, but there's certain things that pass down to certain family line, tradition, and culture.
Yes.
That also makes that keeps the culture together and makes them what they are in that sense.
Yes.
It's just like sometimes I have discussions with people from the continent, Africa, and you have like for instance in Nigeria you got the Yoruba and the Igbos, and their neighbors, the cultures are different and the food are different. In the Caribbean, you may have people from Jamaica, you have people from Trinidad, Barbados, Guyana, Montserrat, wherever, yeah? But yet we don't have food that we can say, okay, this is Montserrat food, this is Trinidad food. We all eat similar things in that sense, you know, because everybody like the saltfish, the fish, the bami, the yam, the dashing, and we don't say, no, that's Jamaican food or that's Antigua food. No, we all eat, but when you come on to Africa now, because of the certain cultural tradition passed down, ancestry, then when I ask them about ukwa, they say, oh, that's Igbo food.
Yeah.
Or you ask them, somebody said, oh, that's Yoruba food.
Yeah.
You know? So it's because of certain cultural tradition that maintain certain things. So it's also coded within the attitude, the language, and the history. You know? But you can find the roots of that, because I always try to find out, you know, when you look at continental Africans, especially from Nigeria, the background in terms of education is like, wow, you know? You know, they come out, like a lot of them go for doctors and lawyers and things like that, you know? And you always wanted to find out, well, what it is that makes them, that stimulate their mental capacity so strong, you know, compared to, you know, certain of us that's born in the Caribbean. You know? And it can be analyzed via the certain foods. But we don't realize that, because certain food stimulates the intellect also. Also colors. Because when you think about even, you know, certain parts of Africa and the kind of color therapies that they have compared to the Caribbean and even the Western world.
Truly.
It's brightly stimulated. I remember listening to Maladome, and he talks about, you know, his tradition when he went to the priesthood, and, you know, certain things that the elders do to stimulate his brain so he can actually read the questions from the auras of his teacher. It's like, wow, you know? Because even in the Western world, with all of this esoteric that we talk about, a lot of people are not familiar with this kind of technology in that sense. You know? So yes, in the astrology, in culture, there's certain things that pass down that makes different groups very unique. I remember when the food came out called Noonie. We all knew Noonie. I grew up seeing Noonie in the woods, but we never used to eat it.
Yes.
Because we thought it was something of the spirit world. They used to call it Duppy sweet sap or Duppy sour sap. Until when the Tahitian Noonie came on the market, and we're like, well, we all have it, and didn't realize that's something we take. Just like now what you have, the moringa. We had moringa growing up, but we never used to use moringa. Yet other traditions from India and other Asian countries were using moringa, and parts of Africa. You know, and then to realize you have so much things that's good for the body. And so yet we were lacking that information. Because remember, eating is communication, and information passing down. So sorry. So when we're talking about culture and when we talk about astrology and how things pass down, it's all linked also with certain cultural development, certain advance of culture that, and there's still foods that a lot of our people in the Western world or in certain parts of the world are not familiar with. Like the other day I was talking to a lady about dolls. It's like, dolls? What's that? That's one of the most nutritious food on the planet. From the sea. It's a sea vegetable. And when you read about the nutritious content of dolls, you're like, it's amazing. It covers whole lot of nutrition, minerals on the spectrum. And yet people may just be hearing it for the first time. So therefore there's an information lack in here. Information has not passed down to certain tradition or to certain cultural group. Because you're not going to get it on the burger when you eat burger, or even on the French fry when you eat French fry. Dolls? No way. So it just shows you that how we're lacking certain information that is part of the brain drain our society get engaged in, and therefore a lot of people may be having these mental issues because their brain are not function at its optimum.
Yeah. Okay, Clatty Clyde, first I want to give thanks for you because we're just over the time now. We're gonna roll out here, but give thanks and also let people know that Clatty Clyde will be speaking on the 8th of June at the Western Cultural Center. He'll be touching on thing about the about spirituality, just what you be talking about a minute ago, and I know thing about herbs, in terms of stimulating the brain, and so he'll be touching on those subject matter and thing. So Clive, can you give out your website or people
email?
Contact you?
Email and phone number.
Yeah, please.
Yes, they have a website is here, but email is galacticspin@hotmail.com. So that's galacticspin@hotmail.com. That's galacticspin@hotmail.com. And my phone number is 07961 476 356. Let me repeat, 07961 476 356.
Okay then. So
that'd be always great.
Yeah, it's always good reading with you, man. Like I said, man, I was talking to Aminette, and you're like a foundation, man. You can't get enough of you, man. And I said, man, I'm speaking to Kinsu, yourself, Aminette, a sister from Birmingham, Dawn. It's like we can't get enough of this stuff here, man. And one thing I want to do, if it's not next year, but probably, I don't know, but I want to get as many health practitioners to come together and just network, break a food and just, and share information among each other and other people as well. But, because it's needed, man, because...
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's needed, man. Okay, then. Clatty Clyde, give thanks again, yeah?
Okay, then. Respect, Dougie. Respect, give thanks, man. Keep up the work, yeah?
Yeah, man. Respect,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Good. Thanks.
All right, that was Clatty Clyde. As I said, him of a wisdom of knowledge. So I'm going to bring this to a close. So again, it's really good to be on Blessed Radio. I'm going to bring this to a close now. First, I want to give thanks for all those who contributed, those who are listening. I hope you're taking notes. And as I said, that we want to give thanks and praise to the Most High, give thanks for life, and again give thanks to Blessed Radio.
To truth and rights, that's what I'm about. You know the truth and rights. You teach it to the children. I miss you know the truth and rights. You teach it to the children, cause they should know. No. Children say a little prayer every night before you go to sleep. 'cause tomorrow is promised to no one. When you think it's peace and safety, Lord, it could be sudden destruction. Because we know, yes, we know, Lord. Remember, I say these few words to you. Remember the words I am saying to you right now. And for tomorrow and henceforth I say, render your hearts and not your garments. The truth is there for who have eyes to see. Partiality has no place in this judgment. Just remember the words of prophecy. I say, children run, come to truth and rise. That's what I'm about. You know the truth and rise. You teach it to the children. I me say run, come to truth and rise. That's what I'm about. You know the truth and right. You teach it to the children. I me say run, I me say come to the truth and right. That's what I'm about. You know the truth and right. You teach it to the children. I me say run, I me say come to the truth and right. You teach it to the children. Say you know the truth and right. That's what I'm about.